Welcome to J.J. Isaacson Field here at Seymour Smith Park. Here for Tuesday night baseball, the Bombers are taking on the Filthballers. Jaden Taylor alongside Max Coughlin. It's the longest day of the year. It's a beautiful one here in Omaha, Nebraska. Our only game here at Seymour Smith, and it looks out to be a great one.
Beautiful day to be back here after a day off of Seymour Smith Park yesterday, and I'm glad there was a day off yesterday because it was brutally hot outside. And not a bad night so far, 82 degrees so far with a 7-mile-an-hour wind blowing in, even though if you take a look at the flag, it really looks like there's no wind blowing out. So not a better day we could ask for coming here for one night game, so I'm expecting a great game today.
Yeah, the Filthballers 8-1 this season. Their only loss on the year has been to the Bombers, and they're coming off trying to look to defend their title after last year, a 23-9 record. Ended up winning it 2 games straight. Actually ended up getting a regular season win, and they got a first-round bye in the tournament last year. Then went 2-0 and beat the Rail Riders 4-3 in the championship game to give themselves their second CBL title. And this year, they're off to another hot start. First in the league at 8-1, a plus 42 run differential, which is best in the league, a 308 team average, also best in the league, a 250 team ERA, which is just second behind the Haymakers. And again, like we mentioned, their only loss this season was to these Bombers just about a week and a half ago on June 10th. The biggest guys that we've seen are recent hitter of the week, Brendan Anderson. Landon Geezer has been another guy for them that's been very consistent. Nolan Christensen was the hitter of the week for the first week of this year. Then 2 really good pitchers that we've seen, C.J. Fleeman, then we're also going to see Corey Palmer here tonight. But this team has depth and a lot of guys that can step up in big moments. C.J.
Fleeman is that one relief pitcher we've seen so far that has really stood out of all the league. And Corey Palmer, nonetheless, one of the best starters we've seen in the league so far. He was, I believe he was one of the nominees for pitcher of the week. But nonetheless, he's the starter tonight, so it's going to be really exciting to watch him pitch.
Yeah, loads of different guys that we've seen being our nominees. Our winner for this week, which just got announced today, Brendan Anderson. A really good second week of action for him, Nolan Christensen. After a big week for him, the RBIs have come in the biggest factor in a big way. 10 RBIs just this week alone for Brendan Anderson. He leads the CBL. In RBIs at 14 just this week. If he had 10 just from this week, he would also lead the CBL in RBIs. Also leads the CBL with 5 doubles as well as 9 hits this season. He has been everywhere and one of just really 3 or 4 big pieces that we've seen from the Filthballers lineup.
Brendan Anderson, you take a look at that 5 doubles. He's one of the biggest power guys they have on the team, and he knows when to hit a ball and where to hit a ball in the certain situations. Let's say you got a runner on third or second base, and you just got to get those runners in. He knows he doesn't got to put too much on that ball. You just got to get in and play, and that's what makes him such a good hitter and such a good player in general for the Filthballers. And he's really one of the biggest reasons why they're doing so good at a very start.
Yeah, we've seen him out of the 4 spot the majority of the year. Out of the 1 and 2 spots, we've seen Nolan Christensen, our first week hitter of the week for the Corn Belt League. He's cooled off a little bit here in this second week, but still a 738 OPS. All of his hits have been singles, but we've also seen his speed in the base paths as well. The Omaha Burt grad also currently going to Dordt University. He's been really all over this field. Has some pretty good plays defensively as well out in center.
Nolan Christensen last year was on the Rail Riders, so great addition to the team this year by Coach Hobbs to bring in Nolan Christensen, which he's already shown it why he is a great addition to the team, was the very first week's hitter of the week. So far the Filthballers are rolling and they are in the driver's seat like they were last year most of the season to go on and win this tournament this year. No doubt in my mind, I think that the Filthballers have the best chance so far.
And looking on the other end, again, the one team that has beaten the Filthballers this season has been the Bombers. Kind of a mixed start. They really struggled against some of the losing teams this year for the Bombers. They fell to both the Crop Dusters as well as the Red Raiders, who we've seen them really be in the bottom of the standings so far this year. But they've had some clutch games these last couple of weeks. We've seen James Grease with a really good play. One of our nominees for Hitter of the Week this past week, Gage Julin, was a big piece. And they really look to make some momentum here today.
I think two of the biggest performers on this team is, for one, Zane Layden. He was the pitcher of the week this week, and Adam Egger. Adam Egger was he's one of the best pitchers out of relief so far.
We'll take a quick break here on the Corn Belt League Network. Once we come back, starting lineups, and we'll get more into this one. Back here for Tuesday night baseball, the Filthballers and Bombers just about getting ready to get going here at J.J. Isaacson Field. And looking at these teams so far today, we look at the standings coming into this one. Some of these teams have been trying to put themselves really well throughout these last couple of weeks, and this past weekend we've seen a couple of these games these last 2 days on Sunday and Monday. The Filthballers have had a couple days off after 2 games this past Friday, but the Bombers have been very busy these last couple days. And here's a big thing to think about for them: Zane Layden and Adam Eggert being able to give them those 2 wins to give them back up to 5-3, but now neither your number 1 nor your number 2 coming into today.
Today is a really big day for the bats. The Bombers bats have to clutch up on this on Corey Palmer, because Corey Palmer so far has shown us that he is one of the most dominant pitchers in this league. So these Bomber bats, I do have confidence in their bats that they could. They have Danny Spongberg, they have Brendan Cassio, they have guys that do know how to hit the ball in places and know how to score runs. It's just we haven't really seen it so far. Yes, they did have that game a couple days ago when they won 9-4. So those bats were on, but biggest thing for today, they got to get those bats going.
Yeah, the pitching has been an odd thing to think about as well, but how can the bats come up in big moments? We've seen the standings here. After being 3-3, the Bombers have now moved up to 3rd place. The Filthballers still comfortably in 1st place currently after a couple of big wins these last couple of weeks, and we'll get into your starting lineups here quickly. Actually, real quick, we'll look at the last time these 2 teams played. The one loss on the season for the Filthballers, a 5-0 win for the Bombers. The defense really struggled in this one. Adam Eggert had a perfect game through 6 innings of work. Trevor Winterstein started off the 7th inning with a single, and that's the only base runner of the day that the Filthballers would have. It was a lot of very uncharacteristic ball that we've seen from the Filthballers this season, and I'm not sure what it was, but the Bombers seem to have the Filthballers number so far this season.
I will say, if this game is close going into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Adam Egger make an appearance. I know also Mick Alexander, the head coach of the Bombers, isn't afraid to put Adam Egger in there, especially if it's a close game against the Filthballers.
So look at our starting lineup here for the Bombers. They'll start it off with the guy you see on your screen, number 1, the right fielder, Danny Sponberg. Right after that, they'll go to the left fielder, one of the best defensive guys we've seen on this team, in James Grease. At the 3 spot, they'll go their shortstop in Caleb Lemon. One of their biggest pieces at the 4 and 5 spot, they'll see their first baseman in Nico Saul. Then catcher Gage Julin, another defensive wonder out in center. We're going to see Tanner Black at the 6 spot. At the 7 spot, we'll see Kyle Weber, their second baseman. At 3rd, we'll see Braden Olson in the 8 spot. At 9th, we'll see the designated hitter, Cole Nordine. And rounding out the order here for the Bombers, we'll see the extra hitter, Philip Jordan. On the mound here today for the Filthballers, it's going to be Corey Palmer. Palmer, one of the most dominant guys that we've seen so far this season from the Filthballers, but talking to Coach Johnston Hobbs, they've really liked to limit their pitchers so far this season. They really like to keep their guys at most 50 to 60 pitches. That's kind of the hard cap they keep on their guys. And we saw that this past week from Corey Palmer. However, it was a 54-pitch complete game shutout in his last appearance.
The thing about the Filthballers is why Coach Johnson Hobbs does that is because they have so much depth to their pitching rotation. They have so many relief pitchers that he has the ability to do that. Unlike you think about other teams, you have the crop dusters. They don't really have the ability to do that with only having about 18 players on their team. So I think it's a great advantage for Coach Hobbs that he can actually do that and keep his pitchers down to a pitch count and have them going in 4 or 5 days of rest.
10 different guys that we've seen so far this season for this Filthballers pitching staff, and it's been all about efficiency, and efficient guy right here in Corey Palmer. And he looks in for the first pitch of the day. It's upstairs for ball 1. We are underway here at J.J. Isaacson Field. A beautiful night here in Omaha, Nebraska. We've seen highs as high as 87, really sitting about 84, 83 right now. Beautiful night with a little bit of a slight breeze, but cannot complain here for a Tuesday night of baseball. That one fouled off, and we'll see the count even back up at 1 apiece.
I will say, though, if we had a game yesterday here at Seymour Smith, I would for sure be complaining. It got up to, I think, about 99, 98 yesterday. And I know I was at the College World Series yesterday, and I was sweating bullets. So it was a fairly hot day yesterday.
This one grounded over to 3rd. Landon Gieser able to pick it up, throw on to 1st to Trace Machacek in time for the first out of the inning. We talked about efficiency, 3 pitches and an out here already for Corey Palmer.
Big start for the Filthballers. That's exactly what Corey Palmer has to do to keep that pitch limit down, to have him go into 5, 6 innings of work today. He's got to get those 1, 2, 3 pitch at bats, just weak ground balls to any side of the field.
Palmer this season leads the league with a 69.4 first pitch strike percentage. Also leads the league in a 0.4 whip for him this season, and 3rd best with a 0.7 ERA. This is his 3rd appearance of the year. He's faced the Black Sox twice, like you mentioned. That complete game, 54-pitch shutout, had 4 strikeouts, just 1 walk up against the Black Sox this past week on Tuesday, June 12th, as the second pitch coming into James Grease is upstairs. I think the biggest piece that we saw from Corey Palmer in that one was his weak contact. 89% weak contact throughout this season from Corey Palmer. He's not a big blow-away guy, really an 83 to 84 mile-an-hour fastball, but does a really good job at letting his defense make plays. And the only time that we haven't seen this team make plays was the last time they played the Bombers.
And I think this is the game for the Filthballers defense to really show up and say that they have a great defense, and they just got to shut out and make plays for Corey Palmer on the mound.
Counts now even to James Grease. Grease out of the 2 spot does have a double this season, 2 RBIs, is 4 for 14. He's really worked a 2 and 3 spot so far this season. Curveball fouled off to the 2-2 once again. Palmer's going to mix a 3-pitch mix so far today. A fastball, a curveball, and a change. We'll see if you're the Bombers, see if you can try to maybe limit him to just that fastball and the curve. 2-2 pitch coming here from Palmer. Fastball upstairs. That one's for a ball. And move the count full. Payoff pitch coming here from Palmer. Trying to get a quick 2 outs here in the first. Another fastball is upstairs and high. And James Grease able to work his third walk of the season.
So far in this game, Corey Palmer not really being able to get that ball really down. Has missed high quite a few times, and he's got to work that down. Even if it's one pitch, you just got to spike just to get that more down in the zone. You got to do what you got to do, but you can't have all those high fastballs miss every time because you're going to lead to a lot of walks.
And that'll bring up the shortstop in Caleb Lemon. Lemon's been a guy that has just been speedy and helping out this team however he can. He's jumped around from spots like the 8 spot, the 2 spot, and now working in the 3 spot as he takes a questionable strike 1 on the outer half as he looks back to his coach, Austin Alexander, to see this next pitch. Grease over there at first does have 1 stolen base this season, so we'll see how much the speed plays a factor here for the Bombers in the first. 0-1 pitch is high, throw back to first is not in time as Obrecht was trying to make sure Grease didn't go anywhere.
Grease over there at first base, not really taking too big of a healthy lead. I think he knows that Corey Palmer has a pretty good pick move, and behind the plate, Tyler Obrecht does have an arm, so he's not going to take too big of a lead today, as we've seen so far.
Palmer will step off, and he'll have Obrecht come out for a meeting of the minds out there at the mound. I think we see here for these two. And we talked about how much the efficiency has been a big factor for a lot of these pitchers. So far this season, this group has just really dominated both pitching and hitting. A 2.5 ERA, which is first, like you mentioned, the pregame show. A 1.25 whip. Does also have a 956 fielding percentage so far this season. Does have 10 errors, 4 of which, like we mentioned in the pregame show, are in that first game on June 10th up against these Bombers. Caleb Lemon lifts this one deep out into left field, and Chase DeLoach is able to make the play. As we're going to see possibly a double play here. Caught in the middle of the diamond was James Grease, and a double play, and the Filthballers get out of it with no damage.
James Grease just missed second base. I think that was the biggest problem of why he just got doubled off at second base. So really unfortunate first inning for the Bombers.
No runs on 1 walk, and nobody left on base after the double play. We'll head to the bottom of the first here, still knotted up at 0. Back here to start off the bottom of the first. We'll take a quick look here at the Filthballers lineup. They'll start off with their extra hitter, just the one guy to get on base to Adam Egger the last time these two faced off. Number 42, Trevor Winterstein. And they'll go at the number 2 spot there, center fielder number 13, Nolan Christensen. In the 3-hole, we'll see their designated hitter, number 28, Jackson Hort out of Papio South. Our hitter of the week will bat fourth, their right fielder, number 4, Brendan Anderson. Then we'll see the first baseman we saw earlier this past inning, number 34, Trace Machacek. We'll see our third baseman, one of the biggest guys we've seen out of the 6th spot here for them, number 7, Landon Geezer. At second, batting 7th, we'll see number 24, Nick Ripa. At short and batting 8th, we'll see number 22, Jason Carrig. At the 9th spot, we'll see the left fielder, number 21, Chase DeLoach. And behind the dish, rounding out the order here for the Filthballers, see number 15, Tyler Obrick. On the mound for the Bombers, we'll see the number 3 guy here for them with no Zane Layden or Adam Eggert here tonight, Brendan Pike. And Max got a little bit more on him.
Brendan Pike, we saw him one time this year in the Corn Belt League. We saw him last week against the Crop Dusters. Not the performance he wanted to have on the mound. Today is a big redemption day for him. He had 1 1/3 inning pitched. Not a great day for him. Only 27 pitches pitched in that game. He had 2 hits on him. The biggest thing, he had 5 earned runs. He had 2 walks. 4 hit by pitches on that one day, and 1 1/3 inning pitch. So he's got to work around and get that redemption outing today.
Trevor Winterstein grounds it over to second base for the first out of the inning. Winterstein has really been the guy at the top of the order that's gotten on base a lot. 7 for 19 this season, does lead the team with 10 runs. But now we'll see the center fielder, number 13, Nolan Christensen, after a really big first week. 6 for 13 with 6 singles, 3 RBIs. Since then, this past week, 1 for 10 with just a single. Does have 2 RBIs this past week, but trying to get his mojo back after a really strong first week in his 2 spot.
Nolan Christensen, he's a guy that has some sneaky pop to him. He's got quick hands.
He fakes the bunt there as that one gets low in there for strike 1. And we'll see Christensen down now 0-1. Biggest thing we mentioned for Pike, he just really struggled being able to find the zone that first time that we saw him in the first couple games of this season. Now it's time for him to come up in a big spot up against one of the best teams that we've seen here in this league. Big swing and a miss right there by Nolan Christensen. And we've seen Pike now already ahead 0-2 and a really efficient start for him.
The biggest thing we saw from Pike last week was he had every count 2-0, 3-0 just from the start, and only in 1 inning his pitch count was at 27, which really it's not the worst, I would say, for if you're kind of struggling in an inning, but just not really what you would want to have. And when you get down 2-0, 3-0 in every count in the first inning, you will give up 5 runs in 1 1/3 inning of work. But so far we've seen from one batter, and here's a half of a batter, I guess you could say, that he's really working efficient. He's gotten 1 ground out so far, got Nolan Christensen swinging on 2 pitches, and he's already got him down 1 too. So better start already we've seen from Brendan Pike. So he just got to keep it going if he's got to keep that hit and walk limit down.
Slider swing and a miss in the dirt. Christensen strikes out. We talk about a really good redemption start and a really good way to start off this one for Brendan Pike. A ground out and a strikeout for the first 2 batters here for the Filthballers. Next up, we'll see from Papio South, the designated hitter, number 28, Jackson Horn. Horn this season, a Corn Belt leading 476 on base percentage. Is also second on the team this season with a 375 average. And has really been hitting for average all season long with 6 for 16, 5 runs, and 5 RBIs. Another guy that you usually see kind of with the speed that he has. Also does have 4 stolen bases. He's usually in the 1 spot, but Coach Hobbs looking at him more of a power spot.
Jackson Horn, one of 9 guys in the Corn Belt League out of Southeast Community College. It's one of the more popular schools that we've seen here all around the league. So I like to say it a lot in the broadcast. We have a lot of Midwest guys, so it's great to see them come back here and play in Omaha and close to family and stuff. So that's why I think it's cool that they're here.
1-1 pitch here coming here from Pike. That one fouled and out of play. And we'll now see a 1-2. And for the 3rd consecutive batter, we're going to see Brendan Pike ahead in the count, which is not what we saw in that first outing. Pike does work really just a fastball slider mix. So as we see the 2nd time and 3rd time through the order, we'll see how he can adjust. 1-2 pitch coming here from Pike. That one way outside. I think he's gotten both, or tried to get both Christensen as well as Horn chasing on an outside fastball, but kind of overdid it on that one.
We've seen his sliders so far today looking really good on Nolan Christensen. He threw back-to-back sliders to get him swinging, so we've seen that his slider can work, unlike we saw last week where his slider just was not working. That's the pitch he mostly hit batters on because he just could not get on top of it. But today, he's had on that one right there.
Another slider grounded over in between the legs of Caleb Lemon. Maybe an odd hop there out at short, but now a 2-out base runner here for the Filthballers. Kind of an odd play right there by Lemon. It was really working in the 5-6 hole. It really seemed like he was just going to backhand and get his momentum over to first, but just kind of went straight through his glove.
Those are the unfortunate plays that you're a fielder. You just have that look on your face like, oh man, that is not the play that I really ever want to really wish I could have. But nonetheless, we got 2 outs, so he's got to do his best to just minimize here and get the best hitter of the week, Brendan Anderson. Got to get him out.
Big spot here for the 4-hole hitter with 2 gone here in the first. First pitch is inside for strike 1. We'll see what Anderson can do here. We talked about how many categories he is leading, or at least top 3 in this season. 3rd in batting average, 3rd in slugging, both here in the Corn Belt League, and leads the team both in those 2 categories this season, as he now falls behind here 0-2, and a lot of shaking heads so far for some called strikes on the outer half.
Fun fact about Brendan Anderson was last year he was supposed to play in the Corn Belt League, but he had an unfortunate shoulder injury which he had to get surgery on. So he was actually a coach for the Filthballers, and now he's able to play. So it's good to see him back, and he's already doing as great as we knew he would be. So it's great to see him back and coming back from that shoulder injury and doing well from it.
And Anderson out of Missouri Western State, the 3rd team that we've seen from him in 3 years. This one popped up shallow center field. 3 guys converge, but able to make the play out at second was Kyle Weber. So no damage done here. No hits, no runs, 1 error, 1 guy left on base here for the Filthballers. We'll head to the top of the second, and we'll see Corey Palmer back on the mound. Back here to start off the top of the second, we will see 5, 6, and 7 here for the Bombers. Trace Machacek, Landon Geiser, and Nick Ripa. Or excuse me, on the other end, we'll see Nico Saul, Gage Julin, as well as Tanner Black, my apologies. And Nico Saul here trying to put something together here. 3 RBIs this season out of Creighton Prep. Does have a double. 5 for 17 overall in the season as he looks at strike 1 here from Corey Palmer. Palmer here with the 0-1. That one is outside for ball 1. Evens count back up at 1 apiece. And Nico Saul this season They're working pretty well, an 807 OPS. Does have 5 walks just compared to 4 strikeouts. And another big piece out of the middle of this lineup here for the Bombers. He's finding himself ahead 2-1.
Jaden, I want to talk about a pitching stat on Corey Palmer. It's one that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but it is, in my opinion, a more useful stat than I would say ERA would be. It's called the FIP, F-I-P, Fielding Independent Pitching. It's a stat where it measures the pitcher and the outcome that he can produce, and that doesn't affect hits or like those little bloop hits that the pitcher can't really have any effect on, or errors. It all depends on strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and Corey Palmer's FIP so far, going through 10 innings of work, is 3.1, which is not that bad of a FIP. He's got around 20 strikeouts so far in his work so far in the league. But thing is, on Brendan Pike, on the other hand, Brendan Pike with that 1 innings work of pitch, he's got a 14.8 FIP.
This one driven out to Chase DeLoach. He's able to make the play out in left field. And you mentioned the FIP, the independent of pitching, or kind of fielding dependent at times, and Corey Palmer has really been dependent of fielding so far this season. Just 7 strikeouts, but a lot of weak contact's been the biggest thing for him. He's been able to get out a lot of different innings just by getting weak contact, allowing his defense to make big plays. And his defense behind him has had over a 970 fielding percentage, just 1 error while in front of him. And Palmer, again, not a big blow-away guy with just 3 pitches and a fastball going up to 83 miles an hour, but able to work consistently and efficiently, and that's been his key so far this season. It's really what's landed him in the ace spot, and I guess I don't want to give it too much exactly like a Kyle Hendricks of the Chicago Cubs, but a little bit of that comparison can be there. 0-1 pitch coming here. That one upstairs for ball 1 here to Gage Julin. 1-1 pitch is in there for strike 2 to Gage Julin. Julin leads the Bombers this season with 6 RBIs. He's 5 for 18 this season. Again, and one of our nominees for hitter of the week, the first week of the season. Another guy that's calmed off a little bit here in the second week of the year, looking for a big hit here in the second inning as curveball goes in the dirt for ball 2.
Gage Julin, one of those big bat guys for the Bombers. He's a pull-heavy type of hitter, and we've already seen him go a yard once this season. It was the very first week of the Corn Belt League. We saw him go way over that 325 sign-in. So far, that was the farthest ball I've seen hit in the Corn Belt League. So he's one of their big power hitters nonetheless.
First strikeout of the day for Corey Palmer gets Gage Julin thinking, and 2 gone here in the second.
Now batting, the center fielder from Dome.
Again, Palmer, first strikeout here today. We mentioned the 7 strikeouts so far this season, but again, he's just, that 3-pitch mix is a lot of movement on that curveball, a lot of late break that we've seen, and you could even use the changeup, which just really dips more like a 2-seam for a lot of different guys that we've seen from him and Palmer this season. First pitch is high to Tanner Black, and if you saw Black the last time that we saw him up against the Rail Riders on Sunday, his hitting has not been the prowess for him, but his defense has been the big factor. A diving play, arguably a SportsCenter top 10 play out in center just 2 days ago on Sunday against the Rail Riders. This one popped high over to the first baseman, Trace Machacek, under it, and able to make the play. 1, 2, 3 go the Bombers here in the second. We'll head to the bottom of the second here as the Filthballers bring up Trace Machacek, Landon Gieser, and Nick Ripa. Back here at J.J. Isaacson Field, as you see a shot there of James Grease, the lone man to reach base so far here, and 2 opportunities here for the Bombers. Now we'll see their second opportunity here for the Filthballers. So see first baseman number 34, Trace Machacek, as he'll step in here at the 5 spot. We'll see 5, 6, and 7 here for them, but really any piece in this lineup we've seen be consistent so far this season. 7 different guys with an OPS of 800 or better, and most in the league by a long shot. Only other team behind them that does have that number is 4. It's been the Rail Riders this season. A lot of teams have struggled offensively. 4 different groups with a batting average under 200. It's been 2 or 3 different teams that have mixed mid to high 200s, but the Filthballers have overall been hitting an average of .308 this year. Leads the league in that category on base percentage as well at .421. Add on slugging percentage on top of that, .388. When you add those 2 together, you get an .809 OPS. They've just been a slugging team, and our impact player and hitter of the week, Brendan Anderson, talked about that last week in their game up against the Haymakers. They know they have the best bats in the league. They just have to be able to convert when they need to. And of all games, a 12-8 win for up against the Haymakers, you really talked to the Filthballers in that one. That was not a big win for them.
You know, Jaden, we do really talk about, you just mentioned that a lot of teams hitting under 200 as a team. That really does go back to how good pitchers are pitching. Like, we've seen every team with a 1 or 2 consistent pitchers on the year so far, and we're already in the 3rd week of the season. And pitchers are just so dominant nowadays that we see it in every type of league in baseball. You see it in the MLB, you see it in D1, D2, D3, NAI, even JUCO. You see so many dominant pitchers that can just blow it by hitters, and that's really what we've seen so far in the Corn Belt League. Every team seems to have that 1 or 2 guys. Like, even on the mound right now, Brendan Pike not doing that bad, but.
And we see you're trying to get him chased. We'll see the count full here to Machacek. A quick inning of work, just 1 runner on this past inning, the first for the Filthballers on an error by Caleb Lemon, and trying to get the first out here is Brendan Pike. That one is low and outside for ball 4, and an early base runner here with nobody gone here in the second.
Third baseman from Southeast Community College.
Now we'll see the third baseman, number 7, out of Southeast Community College, Landon Geezer. Geezer got a big offensive piece that, although is down here in the 6th spot, can really work on a 3-4 spot. Second on the team this season with a .480 on base percentage. Also second behind Brendan Anderson with a .579 slugging percentage. And second on the team as well as second in the Corn Belt League with 10 RBIs on the year as well. So a big spot here with nobody gone. That one outside for ball 1 from Pike. Geezer out of Elkhorn South as a .1059 OPS this season. That's 4th best here in the Corn Belt League, and only does have 2 strikeouts, so a guy that doesn't swing and miss too much. 1-0 pitch is the top of the zone for strike 1. Now we'll see what Pike can do here with a runner on and maybe a little bit more pressure here in the second.
So far we've seen in this game, only through 1 inning of work, we've seen him really consistent through the zone. He sort of missed high quite a bit in his first inning of work, but nonetheless, he's really worked down and really been able to work these hitters.
Runner is off to second. Strong throw is not in time. And Trace Machacek able to steal second. A beautiful jump right there. It's his 3rd stolen base of the season. I think some Bombers players are trying to look for possibly hitter's interference. So they're trying to think. They saw Landon Geezer a little bit too far in front of home plate as Gage Gillen was trying to get a strong throw over to second. Now a runner in scoring position here for the Filthballers. Brendan Pike, again after a struggling start in his first outing, seemed to calm it down here up against the top hitting team in the league first inning, but struggling here in the second as he falls behind now 3-1.
One big thing about Brendan Pike as I'm watching him right now is when he goes out of his stretch, he likes to move off on his lead foot. He likes to move off a little bit to the left of it, and that really does have a cause on why you miss high so much and why you miss so outside. And that really could be a big issue we just saw him miss outside. It really could be a big issue on why he's never really consistent in the zone, as he just had a walk, which is his second walk now.
Yeah, it really seems like he's falling off a little bit too much. He's releasing a little bit too late, and when his entire body is falling off essentially behind him, he's going to lose so many times to the outside. And again, like you mentioned, he's just not going to be able to get out in front on that slider, and if he does, it's just going to spike in the dirt the other way. So 2 on here with nobody out, and again, a big pressure situation for Brendan Pike. That'll bring up the second baseman, number 4, Nick Ripa. Ripa a little bit struggling at the plate so far this season, 3 for 22. 2 walks and 7 Ks, and a big spot here, so he'll look to put down a bunt. That one's popped up. Gage Julian going to make the catch. Throw on to second is in time for the double play. They got Trace Machacek sleeping out there at second. And talk about momentum swinging play right there from Gage Julian.
I think that was meant to be a beautiful hit-and-run situation, just not a beautiful hit-and-run situation. I think we had Trace Machacek out there with a big delayed steal, and just did not work out in their favor on Coach Hobbs' wishes. But nonetheless, I don't really think he was sleeping out there. I think that was more of a design bunt. Just when you're asked to bunt, that is the last thing that needs to happen if you were asked to bunt.
Go down as a pop-up double play, 2-6. There's 2 outs here now in the second. Maybe a little bit more time for Brendan Pike to take a deeper breath as you feel a bit more comfortable here with 2 outs. That'll bring up the shortstop, Jason Carrig. Carrig at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa, California, just 25 minutes away from where he went to high school at Northwood High School in California. And, man, definitely the humidity and the heat is a factor there, but could not complain about living in Irvine, California.
I would not complain if I was myself. And even if you live in California, and he's really used to that humidity rather than living in Arizona where you have all that dry heat. Then you come up here, which we have some guys on, I believe it's the Royal Blue Dogs. 3 of them are from Arizona Christian University. And I know when they came up here and they felt that humidity, they knew they were not in Arizona anymore.
Definitely a lot of different guys from a lot of different places around the country here, all coming to Omaha, Nebraska to play summer ball. I see Carrick now down 0-2. He's looking for his first hit of the season. 0 for 6 so far with 2 walks and a strikeout. Maybe trying to bring back some life here in the second after really a depleting double play on a popped-up bunt. 0-2 coming here. That one outside for ball 1. It really looked like it was that kind of slider that, again, just couldn't quite get out in front of him.
I think right now he's babying that slider on lefties, and because we've seen him, every single slider he's thrown on a lefty so far, he's missed out and away. And if you really want to have that effective slider on a lefty, and if you're a righty pitcher and you want that effective slider on a lefty, you really got to be able to get it in there and get it on that back foot just to get him for it to swing and miss.
That one fouled and out of play. A long at bat here as Carrick tries to stay alive. Brendan Pike trying to get out of trouble here in the second. A runner on first. There was 2 runners on with nobody out. But a popped-up bunt ended up being a double play. Nick Ripa popped it up. Gage Julian caught it and threw on to Caleb Lemon at second for the double play as Trace Machacek was sleeping. This one may float into left field. That one's going to get down. And a little duck snort right there from Jason Carrick.
I like you're using my vocab now, duck snort. You also call them Texas Leaguers, and there's so many different words for them, but I feel like duck snort is my favorite word. And
your vocab?
Yeah.
Is your vocab?
I believe it was. I said that on the first week of the broadcast. I said duck snort.
You know McKay. You know Brendan McKay. Assistant coach for West Side's always got to bring out the duck snort. That'll bring up left fielder number 21, Chase DeLoach. DeLoach, we talk about moving entirely around the country, a guy that started off his high school career in Atlanta, Georgia, ended up playing a 5th year at Bridgeton Academy in Maine after dealing with 2 years of injuries, and has shown a lot of raw talent and trying to show it off here in the Corn Belt League as he looks for it strike 1.
That's a lot of traveling.
It's a lot of traveling. A lot of different places, a lot of different cultures. North Atlanta, to Bridgeton, Maine.
And now Omaha, Nebraska.
And now Omaha, Nebraska. A lot of different places, a lot of different sights to see, and a lot of new people to meet. All trying to get their goal of playing longer and more consistent baseball. DeLoach will call time as We see Pike again really thinking about the runner out there at second. That's that's Landon Geezer. Geezer on second, Jason Carrig on first. And again here after we thought maybe Pike would be able to get out of it. More pressure situations here for the bottom of the order for the Filthballers. 0-1, that one's fouled off, just off the end cap of the bat. And Pike again up ahead 0-2. Again, that was a really big concern for Pike the first time that we saw him this season, was really just how inconsistently he was being able to find the zone. It's been kind of a different story here so far in this one.
I think so far that slider has been his most effective pitch. His fastball has been missing high and away. We talked about that a little bit ago on how his first plant foot is kind of going off, but that slider really is getting in there for the zone on righties. Haven't really seen it on lefties that much get in the zone, but on righties it's one of his most effective pitch so far.
0-2 pick. That one hits him in the head. Oh, my goodness. Good thing he's got the helmet there, and I think Deloach will be okay. Definitely no intent there on the 0-2 fastball, as Deloach will be able to head on to first. And it looks like Austin Alexander is going to talk to his starting pitcher. And we talked so much about really how well he's been able to find the zone so far, and now he's struggling here with 2 walks and now a hit by pitch here in the inning. And bases loaded here with 2 outs. We'll see how much longer they're going to go to him. That might be the day for him. It will. That'll be the day for Brandon Pike. We'll see the reliever here just in a moment. Bases juiced here in the second. Filthballers trying to strike first. That'll be the day for Brendan Pike. 1.2 innings of work, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 2 walks here in just this inning alone, as well as a hit by pitch. Does not currently have a run against him. However, all 3 guys on the base paths are his duty here with 2 outs, and maybe an early change here as they'll go to Nate Smith, the junior out of Bellevue University. First pitch is in there for strike 1. Smith this season struggled in his first outing against the Rail Riders. Had 1 inning of work It ended up getting sat with the loss. 6 runs, 3 of them earned in that matchup. Did have 2 strikeouts. This one is grounded over to Caleb Lemon. Flip on to Kyle Weber at second. And able to get out of the inning with just 2 pitches right there is Nate Smith. So no damage done. The Bombers, the pitching change works off here in the second. Will move to the top of the third. Both teams still scoreless. Back here in the top of the third for the Bombers here after escaping a big mix-up as the Filthballers had bases loaded with 2 outs, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. Got the bases juiced, but a pitching change, and Nate Smith was able to get out of it just on 2 pitches.
I think the biggest thing for Brendan Pike is he didn't have that bad of a day if you really look at it in all. If you go back to his start from a week ago, you look at it and it was a completely different outcome from what he had a week ago, 5 earned runs and just 1 in 1/3 inning pitch. But I think the biggest thing for Austin Alexander is what he was going through. His mindset is he's only had 27 pitches out of the entire time so far in the league, so he didn't really want to work up that count, and it was really getting up there in the 30s and 40s so far, and I think he just wanted to pull him because he didn't want him to go really into that game. But nonetheless, great start for Brendan Pike, and he kind of had that little struggle there in the second inning, but Nate Smith really came in there and shut that door. So great start for both teams and both pitchers.
This one driven out to left. That one will get out in the front of the left fielder in Deloach. And Kyle Weber, the second baseman, has a no-out base runner.
Now batting, the third baseman from Doan.
That'll bring up the third baseman who's been hot as of recent, Braden Olson. Olson has really been working the corners this season. A redshirt sophomore at a Doan University. Played his high school days at Concordia. Was one of the only guys to get an extra base hit up against the Filthballers last time these two teams played. 1 for 4 with a double. But yesterday is when he really showed off. 2 for 3 yesterday with a grand slam in the second. Also came around to score 3 different times, and that was his biggest game of the year. And he's sitting here at the 8th spot, and we have that much confidence out of your 8 guys. A big thing, a big help here for the Bombers, trying to get some offense up against the number 1 team. Curveball in there for strike 1.
Braden Olson, really their main third baseman of the year so far, and he's been, in my opinion, one of the most lockdown infielders that the Bombers have on their roster. So really doing his part so far, and even in the bottom of the lineup, he's got all that confidence in the world that he can get hit, especially with runners on, and try to tag on some more runners and runs.
They'll look back at Weber at first. Weber this season does have 1 stolen base. He's out of Bellevue University. 8 different guys in this Bombers team out of Bellevue. This one grounded over to third. No play at second. Throw on to first is in time is Landon Geezer. A solid play, unable to get the lead runner, but still able to get an out and one gone here for the 9-hole hitter, Nicole Nordine.
Jaden, I think you call that hit, that play right there a quab, and because you got the runner over with no outs, and now there is one out on the board, but you got a runner in scoring position with one out, so you're in great spot to put up even one run right here.
Yeah, definitely a quality at bat to move guys over. However, we talk about quabs. 4 of the top 5 guys leading the Corn Belt League in quabs are on the Filthballers this season. Nolan Christensen at the top of that order with 18. Right behind him, 15 for Jackson Horn, 14 for Brendan Anderson. At the 5 spot, Nick Repa. The only non-Filthballer in that order is Jack Tilton of the Crop Dusters. 13 quality at bats so far this season. 0-2 now coming here from Cole Nordin.
I do also want to mention, Jaden, that hitter of the week contest this past week with Brendan Anderson. That was probably the closest we've had so far with Brendan Anderson and Jack Tilton. Brendan Anderson won it with 41%, and Jack Tilton was right behind him with 40%, so it was a really close race this week.
0-2 pitch coming here from Palmer. That one just upstairs. As I think there's maybe a little bit of wait there to see what the call was going to be there from the home plate umpire. Oh, they're going to call that strike 3. Wow, that's an odd call.
I know.
Barely any motion, barely anything right there, and that one was definitely up.
Tyler Rady, another commentator we have here on the broadcasting crew, he mentioned it last week that this home plate umpire has a really slow strike call, and we've seen it so far. And that was, I don't even know what you would call that right there, because we didn't see any gesture of even a strike call. So really odd call that we just saw, and I don't really know what to even think about that.
The second strikeout of the day for Palmer as he goes wild on that one to Philip Jordan. As you see now, a first run of the day possibility here for the Bombers, just 90 feet away here with 2 outs. And there's the extra hitter in the 10 spot. Of course, we mentioned this a couple of times here for the Corn Belt League. 7-inning games, the most will go to 9. And the biggest difference here is 10 guys are able to be in the lineup, designated hitter and an extra hitter to get guys a little bit more opportunities, and that's helped some different guys that maybe aren't so competent defensively get some more at-bats.
It really does. It has its pros and cons, too, because when you think you have 10 hitters, that means less ABs for more of the top guys in the order and more of the guys that really have the big hits. But nonetheless, it's a really good rule in there to place for guys that really just want at-bats and more guys to get in the lineup.
Jordan sends this one foul. So they count now at 2-1. Jordan this season 2 for 5 in his plate appearances. Does have 3 walks, has been struck out once, and does have 3 RBIs and looking for a 4th here with 2 outs. This one driven down the left field line. That one's going to get down. DeLoach, a really good angle on it, but he loses it. Jordan's going to head to second. And a 2-out single for Philip Jordan, able to work it into extra bases. And the first run here comes from the Bombers.
Philip Jordan, really beautiful piece of hitting right there. Only 5 ABs on the season, not a lot of experience going into this game, and just rips that one for a great RBI and double.
That'll go down as a single, then an error on DeLoach trying to go grab it. That'll bring up the top of the order back again, the right fielder, number 1, Danny Spongberg. First pitch hits him, and once again, Palmer, after being really immaculate in his first 2 starts, is really struggling here in the 3rd.
First time we've really seen him struggle going into it. Now, I wouldn't really say that's the first sign of really struggling we've seen. Philip Jordan, you can't really do anything about a good hit. I mean, you throw a strike, he hits the ball, that's really the point of the game. But that's really the first sign of struggling we've seen from Corey Palmer. He's really looked effective and still is effective, only has given up 1 run. But he's really got to get out of this inning and keep working. No life in the Filthballers bullpen. And I know you mentioned, Jaden, earlier that Hobbs likes to keep that pitch count down, and I don't really know where he's at, but it's really might be getting up there in the next inning or 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone get working up there in the Filthballers bullpen.
His 42nd pitch from Corey Palmer coming up now. And that one's in the dirt, and now he falls behind here to James Grease, 2-0. Grease walked back in the first and was oddly taken out on a really weird double play to end off the inning. It was a 7-6-3 double play. as this little check swing is going to be caught by the first baseman, Machacek, and didn't want that one there, but the Bombers do strike first here in the third. They lead 1-0 as we head the bottom half of the order for the Filthballers. Back here in the bottom of the third, the Bombers do strike first. A single by Kyle Weber. He comes all the way around to score after the Phillip Jordan single. And it's 1-0 here for the Bombers, and the Filthballers, oddly for them, are currently down. We haven't seen that too much this season.
Not at all, and the only time we have seen that is against the Bombers right here in the very first week of the season. So looking like that very first game, 1-0 going into the bottom of the third, and Filthballers got to do everything they can to get that back. But nonetheless, Corey Palmer really pitching effective. We've seen both sides really pitch effective. We've seen Nate Smith coming into the inning last inning, got that one out, and he's looking to get his first full inning of work here and trying to get it cleanly, as the Filthballers only have one hit on the game so far.
Yeah, Nate Smith had 2 pitches in his first inning of work trying to relieve Brendan Pike. This one grounded over to first, and in time is the first baseman in Nico Saul. 3 unassisted there in the first out here in the third.
And there's only 2 pitches right there. That's all I need. That's all he needs to get those outs.
That'll bring up the center fielder, number 13, Nolan Christensen. Christensen 0 for 1 on the day, 1 for 11 after starting off incredibly hot. Started off the season 6 for 13. Since then has gone 1 for 11 with just 2 RBIs and trying to find his mojo back here up against the Bombers. This one grounded over to third. Braden Olson comes on, throw on to first, a little bit high, but Nico Saul able to snag it. And 3 pitches, 2 outs here in the third, and a really efficient start here in his second inning of work for Nate Smith.
Really effective so far for Nate Smith, taking over Brendan Pike's start. Had that really rocky second inning, came in, and now he's working exactly as Brendan Pike was in the first inning. So you guys keep this up, and Bombers really on their way to going stretch into this game.
That'll bring up the designated hitter, number 28, Jackson Horn. Horn 0 for 1 in the day, did reach on an error back in the first from Caleb Lemon. And That was the only piece of offense that we've seen from the Filthballers in that first inning. But then Brendan Pike really struggled in the second. 2 walks and a hit by a pitch. Did have 2 outs after a really odd double play and a bunt attempt. As Braden Olson will charge in. Another great throw is in time at first. We talk about how stellar the Bombers' defense has been these past couple of weeks. Braden Olson right there shows it off. And the Filthballers go down 1-2-3 here in the third. We'll head to the fourth. The Bombers looking to add on. Back here to start off the top of the fourth. It's been a quick one so far, just under an hour, 55 minutes through 3 innings of work. And now we'll see 3, 4, and 5 here for the Bombers after getting the first run of the day this past inning. 2 singles and a hit by pitch for the offense for the Bombers in the third, and that's really from some of the guys in this order that haven't been quite consistent. Still,
I'm looking over there at the Filthballers bullpen. No action going on there yet, even though Corey Palmer's getting up there in the 50s on his pitch count. But like I said last inning, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw in the next inning or two, we may see some action starting to get warmed up in the bullpen for the Filthballers.
Lemon drives this one way high and way foul. Out of play down the left field line. And Lemon now falls behind 0-2. Lemon today had a really odd double play. He lifted one out to chase DeLoach out there in left field. But James Grease, I'm not quite sure what he was thinking. Off on the pitch, thought it was going to go down. Found himself caught in between the base paths and was doubled off back at first. It ended the inning back in the first for the Bombers. Lemon now drives another one foul. And he stays alive here down 0-2. Corey Palmer here for the 0-2. That one grounded, another pitch foul. And we'll see now the 7th pitch of the at-bat coming up next. Lemon, a guy out of Concordia University, played his high school days at Bellevue West. And one thing not a lot of guys know about Caleb, he's a tennis prodigy. Out of Bellevue West, holds the record for 117 career wins as a tennis player for the Thunderbirds. And he's worked a really long count here up against Corey Palmer.
You know, JT, that is a pretty big trend for baseball players to play tennis. You really hear a lot about like three-sport athletes. In baseball, they play football or basketball. But I really have heard a lot about tennis players actually playing baseball and being better at baseball than tennis. Because, you know, when you swing a tennis racket, it's almost you kind of like representing you're swinging a baseball bat. And I think that may be why Caleb Lemon is so good at swinging a baseball bat.
Yeah, a lot of multi-sport athletes you see playing the game of baseball. And a lot of times you see guys playing golf or tennis really after their baseball days, but Lemon, a really big tennis guy himself, as he fouls another one off. 9 pitches so far in this at-bat. And it really seems like every single one so far from Lemon, he just hasn't really been too far off from Palmer, just barely missing each and one of these pitches. 1-2 coming here from Palmer, gets him swinging. A 10-pitch at-bat for Caleb Lemon. but Corey Palmer able to finish it off with a beautiful curveball to get Lemon swinging.
Corey Palmer going right back to being as effective as he was, as we saw him in the first and second inning. Had that little bit of struggle in the third, and now we're seeing him right back to where he normally sits comfortably. So great start to this inning so far for Corey Palmer.
Third strikeout of the day for Palmer so far for him in this one. That was his 52nd pitch of the day, and it looks like for Coach Hobbs, they want to allow Palmer to go as long as he's comfortable with so far here in the fourth. That one driven into center field by Nico Saul. It's going to get over the head of Nolan Christensen, and extra bases here for Saul. He's going to head around second. He will get into third. Stand-up triple for Nico Saul. And here with one out, a huge base runner in scoring position. And man, we've really seen very limited amount of teams be able to find the number of Corey Palmer and this Filthballers pitching staff, but the Bombers are doing it so far in their second game of work up against them.
Jaden, on those hits right there, I really wish we had a Rapsodo unit set up out there because that ball was pieced on. And I really want, like I said, Tyler Rady mentioned it last week, I wish we had StatCast going on here in these broadcasts, but unfortunately we don't. But I wish we had all the metrics on that hit because that ball was really put into the best spot it could have been. And it's just beautiful spot for the Bombers to add on another run.
Yeah, 400 feet out there in center field, and that one got about 3 or 4 feet above the glove of Nolan Christensen as he had to retrieve back. A lot of speed with him, but still couldn't get to it. And with the speed of Nico Saul, even at 6'3", 220, able to reach all the way to third. And now another big spot for an RBI here for Gage Julin. And another guy just like Christensen, who, again, really started off strong, was personally my pick for hitter of the week the first week between him and Christensen, but then has really tapered off here in the second week of play. Palmer looks in with the 1-1. Another curveball upstairs, 4-2.
And I will say, Jaden, out of the reporters, we do have some good arguments when it comes to us picking our nominees for a hitter and pitcher of the week. I know we never really, this week for a pitcher of the week, we all really agreed that it was Zane Layden, but I know for the past week and 2 weeks with pitcher and hitter of the week, we've all had our little sort of different sides of what we see, but nonetheless, it's a great time to be arguing, I would say, with our co-workers and co-reporters. But
yeah, a lot of different talent here in this league and a lot of different guys that have had some pretty good weeks. I think the only reason we really saw Zane Layden giving that is really plainly because of how well he did in 2 different starts. We're the only guy out of our nominees that got 2 different appearances to be able to start and 2 different complete game shutouts in his 2 appearances and 13 innings of work. And there's really no pushback either way to how well Corey Lemon pitched in his first outing this past week. 54-pitch shutout. A really solid game for him. And trying to maybe minimize here up against the Bombers. He's able to get his 4th strikeout of the day as Gage Julin wasn't able to come up now, and then he'll bring up the center fielder, Tanner Black.
Big-time strikeout for Corey Palmer with runners in scoring position on third base. You got to get that big strikeout. You can't really risk anything with a ball in play because you never know where that's going to go or how it's going to end up. But so really big strikeout to get 2 outs on the board.
And that was a situation right there for Gage Julin that really needed putting something in play to get the second run of the day in. Then it'll come down to 2 outs here, and Tanner Black, he's 0 for 1 on the day with a pop-out foul to the first baseman back in the second. Palmer so far today, 58 pitches, 35 of them strikes. We've seen a good amount of weak contact so far here today, but sometimes these last couple of guys, even saw Caleb Lemon in the strikeout be able to piece up Palmer a little bit, and this one driven out into left field. Deloach comes on near the left field line, able to make the play. So the 1-out triple from Nico Saul comes to pass. A great job by Corey Palmer, able to figure his way out of it. No run on 1 hit, 1 runner left on base. And we'll head to the bottom of the 4th here at J.J. Isaacson Field. The Filthballers trying to figure a way to tie this one up. a beautiful baseball type of skyline here at J.J. Isaacson Field. Longest day of the year here in Omaha, Nebraska, and here in the northern hemisphere. So really nice to be able to see everything going on here. A beautiful night for college baseball as some of the two top teams that we've seen here in the Corn Belt League battling it out. And it seems like the only team that has had the number of the Filthballers has been these Bombers, and they're doing it again here in the second round to go.
And Jaden, I'm looking over at the Filthballers bullpen. There is some action getting warmed up there. We have number 5, Theo Hughes, right-handed pitcher. Really big guy. He gets up there. I think he's about 6'8", 6'9". I actually wouldn't say that. He's up in the 6 foot though. He is a really big guy. But so big guy to go over there from Corey Palmer, which I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Corey Palmer go one more. I think Theo Hughes is just getting warmed up there because Corey Palmer so far cruising through this game. Only one run has given up, but nonetheless, his hitters really haven't been doing him that much justice for his great outing.
Yeah, you are right about the height. 6'5", 220 is Theo Hughes. So really big guy, long stride towards home plate. So that could be a different look from Palmer for these Bombers hitters, and to see how that can maybe change things here. Is a big swing and a miss right there from Brendan Anderson, as the key is now evened up back at 2-2. Anderson 0 for 1 on the day with a pop-up to the second baseman and Kyle Weber. Trying to work up against Nate Smith in his third inning of work. That one fouled back, and really good 2-2 pitch, just a foul away on that outer half. Really kind of a borderline call, and a good job just to put it away and give yourself another chance. Two-two pitch hits him, and a leadoff runner on here for the Filthballers as they're trying to tie this one up. And for 3 out of the 4 innings that we've seen so far here today, the Filthballers have been able to get somebody on base. Now it's just about time for them to bring him around into home plate.
And that's a great start with no outs on the board, and especially at Brendan Anderson, which is he's such a good runner and smart runner. He has a lot of baseball IQ. Not really wouldn't say the fastest guy on their team, but he definitely knows how to run the bases well, and he's one of the best players I would want. If I was a coach for the Filthballers, he's one of the best players I would want on the base paths right now.
Anderson does have 1 stolen base this season. There's a big swing and a miss right there from the first baseman, number 34, Trace Machacek. Machacek, one of 2 guys so far that have reached base via the free pass. Him and the guy right behind him in Landon Geezer back in the second. And it was an opportunity for the Filthballers, 2 different opportunities for them to get something across home plate. But Nate Smith came in and it was able to shut him down after Brendan Pike really struggled. And just done after 1 2/3 innings of work, as that 0-1 pitch is in there for strike 2.
And Jaden, I know you are familiar with him, but if any of our audience is familiar with social media pitcher Robbie Rowe, Nate Smith, I see a lot of resemblance with him. Even if it is in his beard and even his pitching deliverance, I see a lot of resemblance in him. So maybe that has a case in stride with it, but I see a lot of resemblance in Nate Smith and Robbie Rowe.
Throw back to Anderson at first, and you mentioned maybe a little bit of a free social media shout out to Robbie Rowe, but definitely a resemblance for Nate Smith between him and Robbie Rowe. Those don't know, a big social media influencer for mainly all things baseball, and talks about mechanics and kind of working for a lot of guys that are trying to learn how to best their pitching ability. Anderson is off from first. It is in time. The throw was in time, but they're going to call him safe out there at second. And Brendan Anderson able to get a stolen base here, and now with nobody out, a runner in scoring position here for the Filthballers. And we got to ask here, when can the Filthballers bring a runner in?
Big thing on that ball right there is from Gage Julin. That ball ran a lot. You see it ended up really on the right side on second base, and Brendan Anderson had just that little bit on that slide just to get over there. And if that ball didn't really run that much, I really think Brendan Anderson, because that ball got there in time, it's just Brendan Anderson got way under the tag.
Back-to-back hit-by pitches here from Nate Smith. And Austin Alexander, the coach for the Bombers, going to go out and talk to him after a struggling third inning of work here for him. So far this season, coming into this one, did have 7 walks compared to 7 strikeouts. And again, has really just been an all or nothing type of guy? Is going to get you out on 3 pitches, or is going to work all across the plate? And definitely struggling here, and a spot here for the Filthballers in the bottom of the 4th. And the 1 run back in the 3rd for the Bombers. It was a single by Kyle Weber, a single and an error for Philip Julin. Was able to bring him all the way around to score. It was the first run of the day for the Bombers and the only run of the day we've seen between these 2 teams.
Seems like it's a big trend for the Bombers pitching staff to have hit by pitches. We saw Brendan Pike with quite a few in last week's start, and then we saw him with 1 today, and already Nate Smith with 1 on his name. So really the biggest problem is that how consistent they are in the zone.
Ground ball over to short. Caleb Lemon over to Weber, on to Saul at first, but not at time at first, as Landon Gieser was able to beat the throw out. But they're able to get out at second. Now runners at the corners here with 1 gone. That'll bring up the second baseman, number 24, Nick Ripa.
Jaden, you think about not getting that runner at first base and it only being the fielder's choices. That's not really the worst situation, because you have 1 out on the board and you have a ball just like that hit again, and you get out of the inning scoreless. So not really the worst possible outcome to not get that runner at first base.
The double play definitely could have helped, as it would have brought up 2 outs here and just 1 out to get him out of the inning. But now, like I mentioned, a runner in scoring position here at 3rd. That's Brendan Anderson, after getting hit by a pitch, stole second. Talk about how maybe big that could have been. As this one's going to go to the backstop, Brendan Anderson is going to come home on a wild pitch, and we have a tie ball game here at J.J. Isaacson Field.
Big time play there for the Filthballers. Gage Julin just seemed like it went right under his legs, and as a pitcher, those are your worst. That you kind of get a sick feeling in your stomach when you have a runner on 3rd base and you have a wild pitch that you caused. So Nate Smith really starting to struggle, and you can see the frustration on him on the mound right now, just not where he wants to be.
And now it's time for Austin Alexander to question who's his next guy, and no Adam Eggert, as well as no Zane Layton. That's been the question mark for the Bombers this season. They have 2 really good top-of-the-line guys at 1 and 2. However, 3, 4, 5, the bullpen has been a big question mark this season. We've had 9 guys get themselves on the mound. Layton and Eggert, the only 2 guys that we've seen above 5 innings pitched so far this season. Nate Smith will now be the 3rd once he gets through the rest of his outing here against the Filthballers. He again is really struggling to find command.
So far in the Bombers bullpen, Austin Alexander has not put anybody in there to get warmed up. So Nate Smith really got to do his best to minimize the runs being allowed here and get out of this innings with only 1 run given up.
And most likely this is Smith's inning to deal with and try to get out of. This one driven into left field. That one's going to get down. We'll see if Gieser will test the arm. He won't. The ball will be cut off by Braden Olson as James Grease was able to get it in quickly. And now runners on the corners here as the Filthballers trying to work a rally here in the 4th. A big hit right there from Nick Ripa, his 4th hit of this season. Did have 5 RBIs, was looking for his 6th. And a big piece right there for him after starting off this season with just a 136 average and 7 strikeouts. Double play is still in order here, so a way for the Bombers to get out of this inning without any more damage done. But Nate Smith has got to figure a way to get out of this one, as there now is another runner in the bullpen. This one's going to get to the backstop once again. The runner from first is going to go all the way around to 3rd. Ripa, a really smart play. And now a runner 90 feet away and a run comes across. And the Filthballers, after a lot of command issues from Nate Smith, now have the lead 2-1.
Just an unfortunate occur of events that are happening for the Bombers. You know, Nate Smith really starting to struggle, as I mentioned earlier on this first wild pitch, and now just keeps struggling, and now it puts 2 runs on the board here in this bottom of the 4th inning for the Filthballers. So Filthballers really coming back and showing them that they are still in this game and really showing that they can win this.
Jason Carey looks at a ball that was outside of the zone, but they'll call it for strike 1, I believe. Should be a 1-1 count here. I believe that's what they call a strike. The home plate umpire Some groans out there, but either way, it's a 1-1 pitch. That one driven up the middle. Beautiful play by Kyle Weber. Throw onto the plate is Hopton will get over Gage Julian to the backstop. Jason Carey is going to get into second. A tough play right there from Kyle Weber as that he retrieved to his backhand. The throw was short. It bounced about 5 feet in front of home plate over Gage Julian. And, man, right after we thought the Bombers were just feeling consistent, feeling themselves here, Nate Smith has really struggled, and now 3 runs have come across here for the Filthballers in the 4th.
You know, it really seems in this one inning alone for the Bombers, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. They're kind of snowballing the ball around. We just saw that one at 5 feet in front of the plate, hit that lip and just bounced over, and now it puts him in scoring position with only 1 out still on the board, which – how long this inning's been going on? You only 1 out on the board. It's just not the best occurrence at all.
Levi Story now in the bullpen here for the Bombers, possibly going to come in after a really struggling inning here for Nate Smith. 1-0 pitch to Chase DeLoach. Big swing and a miss right there. Doesn't count back up at 1 apiece. The inning started with a hit by pitch to Brendan Anderson. He would steal second 2 pitches later. Then Trace Machacek would get hit by a pitch. And then a really odd play, a fielder's choice from Caleb Lemon going to Kyle Weber. Would have runners on the corners with 1 out. A couple wild pitches later would bring Landon Gieser in and then Nick Ripa all the way around from first to third. Then a ground ball fielder's choice, Kyle Weber threw one in the dirt to Gage Julian, and that brought in Nick Ripa. And another wild pitch here as Chase DeLoach was in jeopardy right there of getting hit by his second pitch of the day.
And that one was coming out of his head, and he's already been hit in the head one day. And I know as a pitcher you never do that to be intentional. And if you hit him anywhere close to the head, I know I did it before in a state baseball tournament this past spring. I did it to my own good buddy, and it was not a good moment for me. I felt terrible. And as a pitcher, anywhere, even if you hit him, it's not a good feeling in your stomach because you know you never try to do it, and it gives him an extra base runner. So
3-1 pitch here is just on the outer half for strike 2 and move the count full. And like you mentioned, DeLoach was hit by a pitch by the other pitcher here, Brandon Pike, back in the second for the Bombers and was in jeopardy of getting hit in the head twice here in 3 innings. 3-2 pitch is just outside for ball 4 and a full count walk for Chase DeLoach. And this inning just continues for the Filthballers as the Bombers just cannot find their way out of this one. And we'll see how much more of a leash they're going to have on Nate Smith. We mentioned the righty Levi Story up in the bullpen for the Bombers, but they're going to keep him in here with 1 out and runners on the corners.
Filthballers only with 2 hits on the day, and they have 3 runs. It really seems like the Bombers are just giving this game. Only in the bottom of the 4th inning, it seems like the Bombers just giving this game to the Filthballers. They got to do something to come back and get out of this 1 inning alone.
And again, the big question mark this season was the depth of pitching for the Bombers, and it's showing dividends here in this one as Nate Smith and Brendan Pike have struggled being able to find command, as Smith is thinking a lot about DeLoach over there at first base. DeLoach this season, 3 stolen base attempts, has swiped bags twice, was caught stealing once. And another hit by pitch. And I think this has to be the day for Nate Smith, as this is his 3rd hit by pitch of the inning and very well could be his 5th if 2 other pitches weren't, injured earlier to a batter.
You just see the frustration on Nate Smith's face. He's just walking out. There's Austin Alexander telling him to get back on the mound. Just not the best day for Nate Smith. I know as a pitcher, you don't want that ever to happen. I think he's gotten four hit by pitches so far on this day. As you mentioned, he was close on 2 pitches. So walking out frustrated, you see the look on his face. Let's see who he's going to go to. I believe it's going to be Levi Story.
It will be Levi Story. We'll take a quick break here on the Corn Belt League Network and meet the new pitcher. The Filthballers have added 3 here in the bottom of the 4th and looking to add on as the base is juiced here with 1 gone. back here in the bottom of the fourth. The Filthballers have put on 3 with just 1 out here and still have the bases juiced. We'll meet our new pitcher. Levi Story will be the end of the day for Nate Smith. 1.2 innings pitch here today. Did have 3 earned runs so far. Could be an additional 3 as all 3 guys in the base pass are his duties. The first pitch from Levi Story is way outside. And talk about a lack of command. We talked about it with Nate Smith. 3 hit by pitches that also have a walk so far here today. And the first 2 innings of work for him were immaculate. 7 pitches, 7 strike, 4 outs. They're just all falling apart here in the 4th inning.
It seems like for the Bombers all year so far is their pitching. They have the hitting side down. It's just a lot of pitchers besides Zane Layden and Adam Egger. It seems like those are their only pitchers that they can really rely on so far. We saw Brendan Pike, not too bad of a day, just he started struggling in that second inning, and then Nate Smith came in. He started to dominate. You mentioned that, and then he just fell apart altogether.
Trevor Winterstein at the top of the order. Look to keep this rally going here for the Filthballers. He's the extra hitter, number 42. 0 for 2 on the day with 2 groundouts. 3-0 pitch is in there for strike 1. Deloach out there at second. Didn't quite like it, but either way, it's the first strike of the at-bat. And again, Story in jeopardy here of walking in a run here with just 1 out. 3-1 pitch coming here to Winterstein. That one up and outside for ball 4. This inning continues for the Filthballers after being down 1-0 and really just being in a bit of a slump offensively. 4 runs so far come across here in the 4th, and they lead by 3. There is now a ratty up in the bullpen here already for the Bombers. It's Jackson Creek, another guy out of Bellevue University. Did pitch just last night. Was in relief 1 inning of work and did it pretty consistently with just 7 pitches, 3 outs, and got away with another win and helped Adam Eggert get his 3rd win of the season. Swing and a miss right there. Chased it, Nolan Christensen. Christensen, another guy that has struggled 0 for 3 so far, or 0 for 2, excuse me, so far today. Had a strikeout back in the 1st and a ground at the 3rd back in the 3rd. Ninth batter of this inning as he looks at a curveball outside, and the count back up at 1 apiece. Again, Smith, after starting off just incredible in that first 2 innings of work, got out of a bases-loaded jam that Brendan Pike had put him into, and then came back the next inning. It was really efficient and not efficient right here. That one goes to the backstop. May have a play at the plate, but Deloach somehow, a little bit of a skip there, gets his foot in. And another wild pitch brings in another run. 5 runs here in the 4th for the Filthballers. And after being in a tough spot, they're now in a spot now to possibly blow this one open with 2 runners in scoring position.
It seems like the case of inconsistency on the mound is going over to Levi Story, as we just saw that wild pitch go way over Gage Julian's head, and easy score for Chase Deloach as it puts now the Bombers down by 5 or by 4.
Swing and a miss right there from Nolan Christensen. And finally we see either both Smith really or Levi Story here ahead in the count, now just even in the count, but a chance to get a strikeout here with just 1 out here in the 4th. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, got him chasing on the off speed, and Christensen for the 2nd time of the day goes out with a strikeout.
Now batting.
That'll bring up the 10th guy of the inning, the designated hitter number 28, Jackson Horn. Horn 0 for 2 today, did reach on an error back in the 1st. This one driven foul down the right field line. And the Story, again, it's really just going to be a job of how to minimize right now with 2 outs. And a 5-1 ball game. It's not out of question yet, but definitely getting a little bit out of hand here in the 4th for the Bombers. That pitch in the dirt, another off speed. Really good job back there from Gage Julian behind home plate to keep it in front of him. He's been working all day, running around, loads of wild pitches, trying to keep it in front of him however he can. There's been 5 wild pitches so far today between Nate Smith and Levi Story, and Brandon Pike did have a couple hit by pitches, but did not have a wild pitch. But Julian's been working a lot behind home plate so far today. And again, somewhat even struggled at the plate a little bit as well. 1-2 pitch coming here from Story. Off speed in the dirt once again. Could not get Jackson Horn to chase. And we'll do the 2-2. Two-two pitch coming here from Story. This one driven up the middle. Caleb Levin comes on and able to make the play. But 5 runs come across here for the Filthballers, and the momentum entirely flips here in the 4th. We'll head to the top of the 5th. The Bombers trying to have some kind of answer when we come back.
For the Bombers.
Some great fans enjoying some Corn Belt League action on a beautiful night here in Omaha, Nebraska. Saw a beautiful skyline. It's the longest day of the year. More hours to be able to have fun out in the sunlight, and got some more nighttime baseball under the lights for these two teams. And we thought the Bombers might have a chance to go 2-0 this season up against the Filthballers, but a 5-run 4th inning has kind of switched some things up a little bit. Still some time left to go for both these teams. See if the Bombers can come back in this one. Corey Palmer with the first pitch inside for the ball. But again, Palmer's been really the ace this season so far for the Filthballers. Has been consistent today. Not really his norm, but the biggest question mark so far today has been the Bombers pitching staff, as they've had to work 3 different guys now, and being able to find the zone has been a hard thing for them.
I mentioned it last inning, Jaden. That's really their biggest struggle as a team right now. They have the bats. They just don't have that pitching.
Ground ball up the middle. Nick Ripa, strong throw on to first is in time. And that gets the first out of the inning here. And maybe seeing how well Corey Palmer can settle in now, as we do see Theo Hughes still up in the bullpen for the Filthballers.
I wouldn't doubt if this would be Corey Palmer's last inning of work, because he's getting up there in the 60s on his pitch count, but nonetheless, he's been working really efficient, and he got those insurance runs that he needed and he's been asking for this whole time. And so really he can pitch with that lead now, and even if he gives up a run or two, he's still got that lead and he can pitch with that lead.
Called time there on the first pitch.
I thought that hit him maybe, but umpire said it hit him on the knob, so.
Yeah, I thought he was trying to call time there, but not set up either way. It'll be ball 1. Again, Theo Hughes up in the bullpen to see how much longer they want to go with Corey Palmer's. That one is inside for ball 2. Braden Olson now here up. Third baseman, 0 for 1 on the day with a ground out. That one driven down the left field line. That's going to stay fair. Possibly extra bases here for Braden Olson. Throw from Chase DeLoach. Strong throw is cut off. And a stand-up double for Braden Olson here with 1 gone in the 5th.
big start there for the Bombers with 1 out. Biggest thing for them now is just how much can they string together and work those runs back and start putting some on the board to hopefully erase that deficit or hopefully decrease it.
Olsen is just becoming a quiet power hitter out of this Bombers lineup. That's his 4th double of the season. Does also have 5 RBIs and an OPS coming at least into today, a team leading 1108. So even really out of the latter parts of the order in the 8 spot, he has come up clutch these last couple of days. We talked about the grand slam back in the 2nd yesterday up against the Haymakers. Again, he's just a guy that's having a really consistent season, doing a really good job. Will help this Bombers team out and trying to help them out get back into this ball game after a 5 spot in the bottom of the 4th for the Filthballers. Big swing and a miss right there from Gol Nordin. A designated hitter number 41. Trying to possibly bring in a run here as Braden Olsen steps at 2nd. Nordin this season 3 for 12 coming into today, 0 for 1 in the day with a strikeout. And now he falls himself behind, down 1-2. Palmer today, and is really going to his season high, possibly season high. We saw him 84 pitches in his first outing this season, 66 pitches here today, and 4 1/3 innings of work. See how much farther he goes. Palmer looks back at Olsen at 2nd, a big lead, and he'll deliver. That one inside, almost hit Olsen, or excuse me, Nordin right there. And the count back up at 2-2. Palmer just the one look back to 2nd. Curveball tipped back into the glove at Tyler Obrick. And that'll be another strikeout of the day, the 4th of the day for Corey Palmer. And 2 gone here in the 5th.
Corey Palmer so far in his 5th inning of work has through the whole game has really been working that curveball fastball mix. Curveball, it kind of hangs at sometimes, but that really does put a justice on us because his fastball really does have a lot of tail to it. So when you have that curveball really 12-6, it really works to your favor.
Yeah, a lot of loop to that curveball, but definitely something to adjust to. The fastball about 83, the curveball really working low 70s. So when you have a double-digit difference between your fastball and your off-speed, definitely something to change to be able to adjust for a lot of these hitters. Phillip Jordan now, as he sees the 1-0, swings at it and chase there to even the count back up at 1-1. Jordan got his first at bat back in the 3rd, had a single reached on an air by Chase DeLoach out there in left field, able to get on to 2nd with a 2-bagger, and not able to come around to score. As the Filthballers was able to get out of it, as we'll see an inside move right there from Corey Palmer. Another off-speed, driven down 3rd base line. Tough play for Landon Geezer. Flips off his glove, throwing to first, is in time. Great way to adjust right there from Landon Geezer. Able to get the 3rd out of the inning. A double from Braden Olsen. He is left stranded here in the 5th, and the Filthballers look to add on, and they're half of the inning.
No matter what your age, skill level, or position, your baseball season begins at the Strike Zone. Featuring state-of-the-art batting cages, group and private instruction, the Strike Zone provides athletes all the training and equipment you need to get your game to the next level. Give the gift of development to your baseball or softball player. Purchase your Strike Zone gift cards today. Baseball never ends at the Strike Zone. No matter what your age, skill level, or position, your baseball season begins at the Strike Zone. Featuring state-of-the-art batting cages, group and private instruction, the Strike Zone provides athletes all the training and equipment you need to get your game to the next level. Give the gift of development to your baseball or softball player. Purchase your Strike Zone gift cards today. Baseball never ends at the Strike Zone.
back here in the bottom of the fifth. We'll see the middle of the order, as last night the Filthballers went entirely through their 10 guys in the order, put on 5 runs, and are looking to add on here. As we'll see 4, 5, and 6, Brendan Anderson, Trace Machacek, and Landon Geezer. Anderson was our hitter of the week this week. He is so far 0 for 1 on the day with a pop out to the second baseman back in the first, and it was hit by a pitch, one of 3 of them back this past inning in the fourth. He would end up stealing second and scoring a wild pitch later in the inning. 1-0 pitch is in just on the outer half for strike one. Back even at ones here as Levi Story works in his second inning of work, trying to keep this deficit just to 4. That pitch is in the dirt for ball 2.
Levi Story really has got to change something that he's did in the last and in the fourth, and he's got to really work consistent, which really no pitcher for the Bombers really has been able to do. He's got to find a way to change that and get the Bombers in the dugout.
Anderson drives one into left field. It's going to, an odd bounce will go over James Grease. An extra bases here from Brendan Anderson. He's going to stretch it into 3. A stand-up, possibly triple here for Brendan Anderson. And already a runner here in scoring position with nobody gone, as our hitter of the week comes through in a big spot. I'm not quite sure if they'll call that either a single with an error, a 2-base error, or either call that a triple. I mean, it did not hit Grease's glove out there and left, so really kind of the only call you can give.
I mean, you could have that argument saying it didn't touch Grease's glove, which in my opinion, I would have given that a triple because it did take that bounce way over his head, so maybe you could think he was misplaying that, and I, in the scorebook, would have given it a triple. We just got to wait and see what the official scorekeeper gives him.
Still asking a couple guys up here with our scoring group. They're not going to call that an error as of now. We'll see how they put that one to Gamechanger, possibly score that one later. Either way, the infield is in here for the Bombers. The first pitch is just on the outer half for strike one to Trace Machacek. Machacek so far today does not have an at-bat, was walked back in the second, was hit by a pitch, one of 3 this past inning in the fourth, and looking to help these Bombers fall behind even more here as he holds back out for a check swing. Story taking his time, trying to keep this deficit as just 4 as he falls behind now here to Machacek, 3-0. And again, the command has just not been there for so many different guys. This Bombers pitching staff, 3 different guys we've seen here tonight, and the free bases have been aplenty.
And the count's 2-1. It looks like there was a little misconfusion there from the umpire and scoreboard.
So now with the 2-1, that one will be fouled back. Have a couple different switches here. Like you mentioned, it will be 2-2 now. And Trace Machacek really looking for a quality at-bat. We talked about it earlier, the first couple innings of this one, how much it's meant for these Filthballers to have a lot of quality at-bats. 4 of the top 5 guys in the league have all come from the Filthballers this season, and trying to get a big one here and add on another insurance run as that one is upstairs for ball 3 and will move the count full.
Well, you think about it, Jaden, so far in this game, going into the 5th inning, the Filthballers have quite a bit of quality at-bats, just not a lot of them being hits. A lot of them being hit by pitches or walks or hard-hit balls. Just only 3 hits on the day for them so far, but they are up 5-1.
Payoff pitch coming here from Story. That one low for ball 4. And still nobody gone here but runners on the corners. And possibly another inning here if the Filthballers can add on that might get away from the Bombers.
No one currently in the bullpen for the Bombers. I think if I was Austin Alexander, you got to kind of be struggling thinking about who you could put in there because, you can't put in Adam Egger. He pitched yesterday in his seven innings of work, and Zane Layden had 2 outings already last week, so you really don't want to push him there, especially down 4. You just got to think about who you can put in and who you even have, especially going into this, and you've already wasted 3 pitchers now in this game alone, so if you're Austin Alexander, you got to think about who you can put in and if you can really trust Levi Story to go this far.
The next guy would most likely be number 29, Jackson Creek. We saw Creek up in the bullpen this past inning, at least getting ready. We'll see if he's ready to go when needed. But maybe an opportunity for Austin Alexander to allow Levi Story to work with some pressure and see how we can get out of it. First pitch here is a ball. Definitely looked like in the zone, but the home plate umpire will call it for ball one. Second pitch is in there for a strike, leaving the count back up at 1 apiece. And we'll see it'll be here Landon Geezer. Geezer's had an odd day. He's reached base twice, but in 2 odd situations. Was walked back in the second and then reached on a fielder's choice, which was a really close play at first back this past inning. Runner is off and fake throw, no throw. And now 2 runners in scoring position here with still nobody out. And now another big spot here for Landon Geezer.
Good decision behind the plate for Gage Julian trying to catch Brendan Anderson over there at third base off guard. But Brendan Anderson, like I said earlier, is such a good baseball IQ. He knew he wasn't going to throw that ball, so he stood put right there on third base.
Yeah, that'll bring the entire infield back in. 2-1 pitch way outside. They'll get to the backstop. Brendan Anderson will come in and score. Man, the wild pitches have been aplenty today. That is the 5th of the day for these Bombers, and another run comes across, and the Filthballers extend their lead now to 5.
I feel like, Jaden, you could say for this whole game for the Bombers so far is their biggest story is the wild pitches that all the pitchers have had, and especially wild pitches with runners in scoring position. That's really scored the majority of their runs today.
Nate Smith had 3. Levi Story now has 2. This game getting out of hand here. This one grounded down the left field line. It's going to get into the outfield, and Landon Geezer is going to try to extend it to extra bases. He does. A stand-up RBI double for Landon Geezer, and another run comes across. It is now 7-1 in favor of the Filthballers.
Just getting out of hand for the Bombers. Pitching is just not there today. We've seen it so far in this game, and the hitting is starting to come around for this Filthballers offense. You know, we've seen a lot of just walks hit by pitches, but now 4 hits and 4 really good hits for the Filthballers.
Runner at second here with nobody out, as that one's fouled off from number 24, the second baseman, Nick Ripa. Ripa on the day, 1 for 2, had a single and came around to score after 2 wild pitches, this past inning. This also pop out to the catcher back in the second. Another off-speed foul back, and Levi Story again, although hasn't seen it a ton, has been finding himself now ahead in the count. Oh, 2 pitch coming here. Off speed upstairs. Couldn't quite get out in front of it. And we'll see the count now to 1-2. Ripa at a Des Moines area community college. One of 5 guys either from Papio or Papio South in this Filthballers team. A lot of local guys in this group. Swings and a miss on that off speed on the outer half, and he strikes out. And Levi Story here with 1 gone here on the 5th. Trying to figure a way to maneuver his way out of any more damage that the Filthballers are trying to put on.
Jaden, you mentioned that a lot of these guys on this Filthballers team are local, and I'm taking a look at the roster, and I'm already seeing 5 or 6 guys just strictly from the Omaha Metro, whether that's out in Elkhorn, out in Papio, like you said, Papio South, but this Filthballers team really filled with a lot of local guys.
First pitch to Jason Carrig is upstairs and out for ball 1. Carrig, 1 for 2 on the day, has reached base both times, had a single back in the second, and then a fielder's choice this past inning. And trying to add on here with 1 out. Off speed is low, and Story finds himself behind 2-0. Still no activity here in the bullpen for either of these teams, as we did see Jackson Creek and Theo Hughes possibly ready when needed. The starter, Corey Palmer, has been the really story of the day, at least it started off for them. Definitely not his strongest outing, but a strong one here. This one flied out into right field as Danny Spongberg comes on and makes the play. Landon Gieser will not test the arm out there at second. And 2 outs here in the 5th. You'll see Chase DeLoach come back up, hoping to not get plunked here after getting plunked back in the 2nd and then almost getting rang up in the head back in the 4th, but ended up reaching on a free pass, a walk, and we'll see if he can get his first plate appearance, first at bat here in the 5th.
And Jaden, I do want to mention how locked down, even all the negatives we've seen so far in this game for the Bombers, I do want to mention how locked down the Bombers' outfield is. We saw Logan Black just last week with maybe a SportsCenter top 10 play. We saw 3 of those on Sunday, so I still think that play should have gone on SportsCenter top 10. I just don't know if they've seen it, but nonetheless, their outfield for the Bombers is really locked down this year.
Yeah, the defense has been superb for both of these groups. Just 4 errors this season coming into this one for the Bombers, as DeLoach did not like that off-speed strike call in the outer half as he finds himself down 0-2 to Levi Story. Story trying to get out of it after 2 runs here in the 5th from the Filthballers. This one fouled off and out of play. I'll do the 0-2 once more.
I'm seeing Theo Hughes still getting warmed up in that Filthballers bullpen. Wouldn't be surprised if this next inning would be his time to work. We saw Corey Palmer go last 5 innings today, only giving up 1 earned run. Amazing start for him today, and hopefully Theo Hughes can keep it going for him.
0-2 pitches outside in the off-speed from Story. And like you mentioned, these past 2 innings, Palmer's had to sit down a lot and kind of think over really what's coming next, and maybe not quite as hot coming into this next inning, is not quite as comfortable. So maybe trying to see a new guy that's a little more loose and ready to go. We'll see if Palmer go back out there, if Coach Hobbs will go with Hughes. 1-2 pitch here, swing and a miss. Off-speed got him to chase, and that'll end the inning. However, the Filthballers add 2 more here in the 5th. We head to the 6th. It's going to be a long way to go for the Bombers to come back in this one as they're down 6. End of the day for Corey Palmer. Palmer in 5 innings of work allowed 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned and had 1 walk and 5 strikeouts. A strong day for him. Keeps these Filthballers in a good spot. New pitcher here, Theo Hughes, the 6'5", 225-pounder out of Seward. Currently plays for Nebraska Wesleyan. Struggled a little bit in his spring season with Wesleyan. 10 2/3 inning pitch, had 9 walks, 8 strikeouts, 7 wild pitches, 3 hit by pitches, and a 10.12 ERA. This season here in the summer for the Filthballers, it had 4 2/3 innings of work. It was pretty consistent, had 3 hits, did not allow an earned run, and the big righty deals into Danny Spongberg. The first pitch is the ball.
Jaden, a little on Theo Hughes. He's got that big build. You mentioned he's 6'5". He uses that to his advantage. He really likes to gas it up there. He likes to throw his fastball. It's going to be a lot different from Corey Palmer.
Spongberg puts down the bunt. Long throw. Gets away. And they'll throw him back as Spongberg attempted to go to second, but he'll get back to first in time. It's a close play either way. We'll see if they either scored a infield single. I would personally call it an error right there by the pitcher and Hughes, but either way, a runner on here with nobody out, and Hughes kind of shaking his head a little bit after that play.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, Jaden. I'd probably score that one as an error on the on Theo Hughes over there on that bad throw to the right side.
So they will score it as an error for Theo Hughes. Sponberg is off. Strong throw is offline. And Danny Sponberg, a league-leading 7 stolen bases so far. And a beautiful jump right there, as I don't think Theo Hughes is even thinking about Sponberg.
Biggest thing there for Theo Hughes is with Danny Sponberg on base, you can't have that huge leg lift, which is exactly what he did. And it gave Danny Sponberg a great opportunity to steal a base. And maybe we may see Theo Hughes pay more attention to him on second base, but if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him, Danny Sponberg steal another base.
So look back to Sponberg. Off speed is low. 4-1 and leaving the count back up at 1 apiece. Sponberg, like you mentioned, 7 stolen bases this season. Did have a stolen base last night. And the Bombers' 9-4 win over the Haymakers. Is 6 for 24 this season, but the speed is really where he's been devastating a lot of opponents. As this off speed is in the dirt. Really good job by Tyler Obrecht to keep it in front of him, as Sponberg was trying to possibly get a big secondary. The 2-1 pitch is high, and we'll now see Hughes fall behind here, 3-1. And with nobody gone, this is a time for the Bombers to inch their way back into it. Maybe something rolling here.
Biggest thing for Hughes is you just got to stay. You got to pitch with the lead. You're up by 6. You just got to pitch like it. You can't be down in the count every pitch, and you can't have runners on base.
There's another runner on base. An error from Hughes, and now a walk, and 2 runners on here with nobody out here in the 6th. And the Bombers down to the last 6 outs, down 6 here, but you're in a pretty good spot of the order. As we see now the heart of the order, Caleb Lemon, Nico Saul, and Gage Julin possibly able to come up here in the 6th. Lemon today 0 for 2 on the day with a strikeout back in the 4th and an odd double play back in the 1st. Lemon thinks about a bunt but pulls back, and it's in there for strike 1.
Biggest thing for the Bombers right now is how can you string Team ABs together? You just got to find any way you can get on base. You're not looking for that big hit. You got to look for any opportunity that Theo Hughes gives you to sort of string together some runners and hopefully put some more on the scoreboard.
Another off-speed upstairs. Again, we've seen him really struggling to find the zone too much here today. It was really more of a struggle that we saw from the 3 Bombers pitchers, but maybe something we're seeing here from Hughes. 1-1 pitch. Lemon puts down the bunt. He's a speedy one. Hard play for Hughes. Strong throw onto first is in time. A really good play right there from Theo Hughes to jump off the mound and make the speedy throw onto first. That's not an easy guy to get out of the base pass for Caleb Lemon. Either way, the quality at bat for him is now 2 runners in scoring position here with 1 out.
Really good job of Theo Hughes to bounce off that mound and really redeem himself from that first play of this inning where he sort of threw off to the side on that first bunt. Really good job to get the first one for Theo Hughes.
That'll bring up the first baseman, Nico Saul. Had a triple dead center field over Nolan Christensen back in the 4th. And did also reach on an error by Deloach back in the 2nd. First pitch comes to Saul. That one popped way out of play.
Please return all foul balls to the
We'll
first
see
or
what
third base dugout.
Hughes can do here. Really trying to work and figure his way out of a jam here. Still no runs have come across here for the Bombers, but they are threatening with 2 runners in scoring position here with just 1 out.
Taking a look here at the outfield as they're playing on Nico Saul. Chase DeLoach out in left field, really hugging that line.
Saul looks at a fastball just outside on the outer half for strike 2, and he falls behind here now 0-2, and a big strikeout opportunity for Theo Hughes to maybe relieve some stress here in the 6th.
Can you just get the pitcher?
0-2 pitch, just low and outside. See what Saul can do here. A big spot trying to climb their way back after a 5-run 4th inning for the Filthballers, added on by another 2 runs this past inning in the 5th. 1-2 pitch is just upstairs for ball 2. And Saul doing a really good job right now of staying disciplined at the plate. Talk so much about quality at bats and how much they mean. A big possible quality at bat for Nico Saul right here if he can come through. That one's in the dirt. Danny Spongberg, a beautiful jump. He's going to come in to score. The ball skips around, but Trace Machacek able to get a hold of it. A run does come in for the Bombers. And now another runner in scoring position out at 3rd. And now a full count pitch coming here to Nico Saul, but Danny Spongberg, we talked so much about the speed and how that can disrupt a lot of defenses, and Spongberg showed it off right there, stealing 2nd, ended up getting to 3rd on a bunt, and then coming home on the wild pitch. And that one didn't really get too far behind the catcher, but able to have a really good dirt ball read and come in to score. Payoff pitch to Nico Saul is low for ball 4, and Theo Hughes' struggles continue. Now there's runners at the corners here with just 1 out, and Coach Hobbs, or at least the coaching staff here for these Filthballers, is going to come out, maybe calm down Hughes a little bit.
We saw this in Theo Hughes' last outing. Not really as consistent as the coaching staff would really want him to be, but nonetheless, he's just got to throw those strikes because he throws hard enough to blow up past hitters. He's got to do his best to get it actually in the zone, and so far we have not really seen him do his best at getting in the zone.
Want to excuse myself from earlier. It's Anthony Pohl behind home plate, the sophomore from Jackson College. Originally played his college days at Davenport University, then flipped over to Jackson this past year. Really strong hitter, 327 average for them, but has somewhat struggled so far this season for the Filthballers, as 4 for 20 so far in this season. But big piece right now, how can Theo Hughes, like you mentioned, pitch with the lead here, but make sure that it doesn't get too dangerous, as the Bombers are hoping to crawl their way back here with just 5 outs remaining here tonight.
Number 33, Gage Julin.
Gage Julin now the catcher, who was really calmed off this past week and is struggling here today, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, as Nico Saul will be able to have the delayed steal and move into scoring position here. And I don't really think they thought too much about Saul over there at first, and now 2 runners in scoring position. And 1 swing in the bat right now could make this one interesting from a guy that already does have a bomb this season, Gage Julin. Julin was 1 for 3 yesterday with a single, came around to score, did have a strikeout, and a big swing here could help him out. This one, a little squibber over to 2nd. Hard play for Nick Ripa. He'll throw on to 1st. Throw home is not in time, as they're able to get the 1st out, the force at 1st. The strong throw from Machacek seemed a little bit too high and just a bit too late. So a run does come in here for the Bombers, and now a 4-run ball game, and maybe a little bit more manageable for them.
Now batting.
Bombers sort of stringing together a few runs here in the late half of this ball game. Seems like they're showing a little sign of life, just sort of. They got to string together any more they have. They still have Nico Saul on third base with 2 outs.
This driven into right field. Brendan Anderson is under it and makes the play for the 3rd out of the inning. The Bombers do score 2 here in the top of the 6th. They're trying to figure a way back into this ball game. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th right after this here on the Corn Belt League Network. Hello from everybody up here in the press box. Max Coughlin alongside me. I'm Jaden Taylor, our tech producer tonight, Ryan Kelly, as well as our director, Ethan McCormick. Our camera operators here today, Tyler Reedy, Alex Tejan, as well as my father, and a little bit late to notice, Lewis Taylor here tonight. But having a really good job here tonight for our entire crew to show off so many of these games. It's been a really fun opportunity for so many of us to give you these Corn Belt League games. The Corn Belt League crew giving it to you here on Tuesday Night Baseball. The Filthballers currently lead this one 7-3, a 5-run 4th and a 2-run 5th. Put them up 7-1. However, the Bombers able to answer 2 of their own this past inning in the 6th. What has to go right here for the Bombers to come back in this one, Max?
Biggest thing here for the Bombers is Levi Story has just got to pitch with dominance. You cannot give up any more runs or even any more base runners nonetheless for the Filthballers, because it seems like every time they have a base runner on base, it seems like they come around to score. So Levi Story's got to go 1-2-3 here and get the Bombers back in the dugout to hopefully put on 4 or more runs going into the later half, even the last inning of the ball game.
So we talked about the defensive change at the catching position for the Filthballers. Number 8, Anthony Pohl will come in, as he'll look to go up against Levi Story. Pohl this season, like you mentioned, is 4 for 20, as he looks to the first pitch fastball for a ball. Again, Levi Story here in his 3rd inning of work out of the bullpen. The big question mark again is just how this bullpen can adjust, and how out of this pitching staff can the non-1 and 2 guys be able to make up in big moments. Little chopper over to the pitcher. Story flipped on to first for the 1st out of the inning. We'll flip the lineup card over. Now we'll see the extra hitter, number 42, Trevor Winterstein.
And that's the exact start you need if you're on the Bombers team going into this later half of the ball game. Just got to get those outs you need. It doesn't need to be strikeouts. You just got to get those weak contact like we've seen Levi Story has been getting, but you just got to get it in the zone, because you really think about it, with the league being wood bats, you're not going to have a lot of those hard hits. You're just going to get a lot of those weak contact.
Actually will be a pinch hitter here. They'll go to the bench. Will this Filthballers coaching staff. Number 33, Hunter Scruggs, will come into the ball game. 4 for 13 this season with 2 doubles. Does have 3 RBIs and an 889 OPS. Second pitch off speed is upstairs for ball 1. Does seem to be a righty up, possibly the closer here tonight for the Filthballers. That's Noah Wing. He has really lived out of that closing spot this past year at Nebraska Wesleyan. Possibly could see him for the 7th to possibly close it down. That one's fouled off.
You want to know a good, fun story about Noah Wing?
I know he's a West Side grad. I know we know him pretty well. He started off his season, really his high school career, most likely looking to be a catcher. I think there's been 2 different guys that we thought may go to the college levels. Catchers for Westside, him as well as Harrison Kraling. And then they both turned into pretty consistent pitchers for some really good programs.
Fun story about Noah Wing and me is last summer, matter of fact, he was my summer ball coach. And so I have a good history with Noah. He's my good buddy. So good to see him out here warming up, hopefully going into the game and hopefully pitching. He is one of the hardest throwers on this team. And even though he is sitting at like 5'10", 175, he is a hard thrower. He sits upper eights, can touch 91, 92 at times. So he is really taking over that closer role.
Hunter Scruggs swings and a miss there. Strong throw from Gage Julin to be able to get him out in the drop third strike. And Levi Story able to bounce back here well in the 6, 2 up, 2 down.
Now batting, the center fielder for Dordt University, number 13.
So we'll see once again Nolan Christensen, the center fielder, really struggling here tonight. And I'm not sure what it is, but both the guys on these two teams that were Hitter of the Week nominees for the first week of the season have really struggled this season. Gage Julin, as well as Nolan Christensen, earlier this past week. Christensen 0 for 3 today as that one gets to the backstop for ball 1.
You know, Jaden, that's the thing about baseball that I seem to love the most about it is one week you could have with the best week of your life playing, and then the next week you go 0 for, and that's just the game of baseball, and it's really going to challenge you mentally at times, and you just got to be able to fight that back and come off and hopefully and then get back and going and hitting.
Another pitch upstairs for a ball, and again, Levi Story really struggling to be able to find his command. We'll see Gage Julin go out and talk to him a little bit here at the mound. And I think this game really shows, again, some of the question marks that we still have for the back half of this Bombers pitching staff, and then also to see, again, these Filthballers, no matter what the situation is, even when they're kind of struggling a little bit offensively, they've been able to figure a way to get runs when they need to.
So far they've been able to just string on and take advantage of the opportunities that they're given. It's just free bases that they've been given, and every single time they get on from a walk or hit by pitch, it seems like they just are able to score around, and it shows so far, and they're up by 4 still in this game, even though the Bombers sort of stringing together a few runs. But
2-0 pitch is in there for strike 1 to Nolan Christensen. For the last chance for the Bombers in the 7th, it'll be 7, 8, and 9, at least listed currently. Kyle Weber, Braden Olson, and Cole Nordine. Weber and Olson do both have a hit here today. Weber did have a single in his first at-bat of the day in the 3rd, and then a double from Braden Olson back in the 5th. Maybe something going here if they can, but a tall task for the Bombers trying to come back in this one. Early was all due to that 5-run 4th inning where Nate Smith just really struggled to figure a way out of. And the command issues have been on display all day. You see another walk right there. And so far here today, a combined 10 free passes, 5 walks, and 10 free passes, 5 walks, and 5 hit by pitches. Again, just the command has just not been there for this group.
And I mentioned it earlier, that seems like that's been the story of the day for the Bombers. Their hitting really has not been that far off. Yes, they only have scored 3 runs on the day, but the hitters have been keeping themselves in the game. It's just the pitchers are just shooting themselves in the foot. It seems like every new pitcher they go to, it just seems like there's a problem with the command issue. And it seems like so far we've seen this season, the Bombers only have 2 reliable guys in the bullpen, and you just can't have that if you want to have a winning team.
The Filthballers will go to the bench once again. It'll be Tyler Levy as he looks at 2 straight balls from Levi Story. Levy this season just 3 for 4 in his appearances, all of them being singles, but he's been a guy that's been very fast on the base paths. 3 stolen base so far, 9 total runs. As we'll see another stolen base attempt right there from Nolan Christensen. The throw goes into center field. But a really good job back there out in center by Tanner Black to keep it in front of him. But again, the speed has been on display so far this season for the Filthballers. 28 stolen bases coming in today, which is most in the Corn Belt League. Just 2 guys of 15 in this lineup that have not stolen a bag this season. That's incredible to be able to have 1 through 9 plus a couple more that can give you a stolen base when need be. 2-1 off speed is in there for a strike to Levy.
As a pitcher, that's kind of a scary stat that if I really would not want to pay attention to, or maybe I would, because then you got to realize how fast you got to be to the mound or to the home plate.
And Levy did have 11 stolen bases this past season in 2021 for the Filthballers. Another speed threat as that 2-2 pitch is upstairs. I'll move the count to full.
Clear the count and do 2-2.
Bombers trying to get out of the inning without any more Filthballers damage. Payoff pitch is in the dirt for ball 4 and make it number 11 as you see the frustration right there from Gage Julin. The pitching has just not been there today. I kind of regret not talking about it in the pregame show, but something that I thought was interesting is the fact that this Bombers coaching staff didn't go with Adam Eggert here today and really thought to go with him last night up against the Haymakers rather than maybe going with their number 1 up against the number 1 team.
I mean, that decision is now truly showing is they got the win last night, but at what cost? Because now they are down against the number 1 team, which really early in this game it seemed like they had a shot. They were in the game, and then it just sort of spiraled out of control in that 4th inning.
Eggert yesterday up against the Haymakers had 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs, only 2 of them earned, had 3 walks, but 10 strikeouts. But the bigger thing here today has been really how well he went up against these Filthballers. Is a double steal right there for the Filthballers. Now 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs, and another 2 stolen bases here today. And man, they've just been taking every single bag that they possibly can. That's 6 stolen bases so far here today for the Filthballers.
Just running all over the Bombers pitchers, and they're taking advantage of it because even that pitch was not a ball, and he's down in the count once again.
And another pitch way outside the zone, and Story finding himself now behind 3-0. Still nobody in the bullpen here for the Bombers. And again, we talked about would they go Eggert here today or would they put him yesterday up against the Haymakers. Was able to get a win for the Bombers in that one, but again, the last time he went up against the Filthballers, it was a incredible outing for him. Had a perfect game through 6 innings, had 1 total base allowed, and just shut out the Filthballers in every way possible. But there is thinking there, do you go with him? Do you feel more comfortable? Do you want to get the win when you know you'll get it, or go up against a team like this and see who can make big plays? Brendan Anderson's been making big plays all season long, and right there a 2 RBI single extends the Filthballers' lead now to 6. It's 9-3.
Big time hit there for the hitter of the week to extend the lead and give either Theo Hughes or Noah Wing some more insurance runs to tag on to going into the top of the 7th.
Now batting, the first
Anderson, this past week after taking on the Haymakers, has really just loved working with Coach Hobbs. He's worked for him really the past 5 years, calls him really kind of a second father figure to him. The big thing for him this all season long, really for this team, is just being able to find the barrel to the ball, and that's what they've been able to do so far here tonight, has been the Filthballers. Just 5 hits, but those 5 hits have come in some big ways and big moments, too. They've been able to get a lot of different RBI opportunities to get guys in scoring position, and they brought them home, and that's kind of the winning formula for a lot of teams. Solid pitching that we've seen from Corey Palmer, being able to get guys on base, which we've seen a lot from this middle and back half of the order, and then get them home, which we've seen from guys like Brendan Anderson, a couple guys like Jason Carrick able to bring some guys in. That's really why they're doing so good right now. Big swing and a miss on the 2-0. As Trace Machacek, the first baseman, still doesn't have an at-bat here today. 3 different free bases, 2 walks, 1 in the 2nd and the 5th, and was hit by a pitch back in the 4th. That's been the story of the day for the Bombers, lack of consistent pitching. This one driven into left field, right at James Grease, able to make the play. Last chance for the Bombers coming up here in the top of the 7th. The Filthballers add 2 more, and they're in prime position to move on to a league best 9-1 if they can keep it where it's at. We've seen a lot of pups here at a lot of the Corn Belt League games, but usually for the Royal Blue Dogs, a long night for this little guy here down the Bombers dugout. And we're here in the 7th. 2 hours and 18 minutes so far through in this one, and the Filthballers are looking to put themselves in prime position at a league best 9-1. And what an incredible start it could be for a group like this that are looking to defend their title from last year. And it'll be up to Theo Hughes, at least for now, to keep it at 9-3.
I mean, so far the Filthballers has shown us that they have put themselves in the driver's seat to go on and have one of the best records in the league. And so far, all the signs are showing that they are nonstop putting no pedals on the brake.
First pitch coming here from Hughes. Big swing and fouled off. As we'll see the second baseman here, number 3, Kyle Weber. Weber 1 for 2 on the day with a single back in the 3rd. Grounded out the second baseman in Ripa back in the 5th. And is one of the pieces to try to get something here, some kind of fight for the Bombers here with their last chance. We did mention this past inning. No Wing still is up with the bullpen. The big closer for the Filthballers this season is ready to go to see how long they're going to give to Theo Hughes after a little bit of a struggling 6th. I think you look at a game like this, and there was kind of a lot of hype that we thought coming into this one. We didn't know if, are the Bombers really just the one piece to being able to beat the Filthballers, and we really thought so for those first 3 innings. 1 run came in back in the 3rd, and really just seemed like Corey Palmer didn't look bad, but didn't quite look himself. And the Filthballers hitting definitely did not look themselves those first 3 innings. But then the bullpen just really struggled for the Bombers and just could not find the zone at all. That's really where we're at here today.
You know, you think about it, and you can look on both sides. Corey Palmer, yes, you say he didn't look as normal as he usually does and more as dominant as he looks, but he only gave up that 1 run back in the 3rd inning, and nonetheless he was scoreless. And it's just you flip it over on the other side, the Bombers pitching staff, they just did not come ready to pitch today. You know, Brendan Pike just...
Yeah, just Pike just really struggling. Smith right after him struggling as that one's flied out to Brendan Anderson for the first out of the inning. And just 2 outs left here for the Bombers to keep themselves alive here in the 7th. We'll see again the bottom of the order here. However, a guy that has done pretty well out of the bottom of the order, which has been Braden Anderson, who has been on a tear these last couple of days. We mentioned the grand slam back in the 2nd yesterday. Had a double here this past at bat in the 5th. And he'll look at a first pitch ball outside.
Guys, don't quit your day job.
1-0 pitch skips in the dirt and headed to the backstop.
3, can you go over to the left and down a little bit? 4, sorry, 4. No, 3's good, 4. 3 on 3.
Hughes here with a 2-0. This one grounded foul down the third base line and into the Filthballers dugout.
We just got to make sure we get a little bit of dirt.
Palmer, we talked about again, not a bad day at all. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run, did have a walk and a hit by pitch, but did have 5 strikeouts and enough to do the job. And again, we talk about the depth of this Filthballers pitching staff versus the lack of depth for this Bombers pitching staff, and that was on display today. Again, a couple of different guys trying to be in big spots for the Bombers could not come through, but the Filthballers have been doing good so far. Grounder over to 3rd, strong throw on to 1st in time, and the Bombers now down to their last out here in the 7th.
And going to tag on to what you said, Jaden. If I was Coach Hobbs and you think about all the depth you have in your pitching staff, and even on your hitting side of staff, you have so much depth that you really can go with whoever you want to go, and you can trust that they will go out there and throw strikes. And even though Theo Hughes kind of working in that inconsistent range today, he's still getting those outs and he's given up those 2 runs back in the 6th inning, but still nonetheless they're up by quite a few runs.
And the offensive explosion here for the Filthballers started in the 4th. A 5-run fourth for them as they batted throughout the entirety of this 10-man lineup. 3 hit by pitches, 2 walks, and in that inning, of all innings, just 1 hit as 5 runs came across. Again, the command has just been such an issue for this group. The Filthballers, even though they haven't been hitting to their normal standards, still finding a way to get themselves in good position to win. As Theo Hughes has come out of the bullpen and again struggled a little bit this past inning, giving up 2 runs in the 6th. But now has settled down here as we'll see his 32nd pitch coming here from Hughes. That one in the dirt, 4-3. And Cole Nordine, who was 0 for 3 today with a hat trick of strikeouts, trying to figure his way out of a slump here. Last chance here for the Bombers. That one fouled back, and we'll have the payoff pitch coming here shortly.
Jaden, you can mention that the Filthballers, all their runs, kind of could be contributed to the Bombers' pitching. You said they gave up 11 free bases on the day so far.
3-2 pitch in there for strike 3, and that is your ball game. The Filthballers able to answer back after a June 10th loss to the Bombers and just continue their winning ways. They are now a league best 9-1. And just who in the world can beat this team, the best team in the league, and they've shown why. A big 9-3 win here today.
Filthballers got that redemption on the Bombers. Only loss on the year for the Filthballers were the Bombers, and now they got that redemption on them. So big win for the Filthballers and that 9th win of the season.
Corey Palmer will get the win. We mentioned his line, 5 innings of work, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. The loss will be set actually to Nate Smith, and his an inning and 2/3 of work, 1 hit allowed, but 5 earned runs. That was due to the 3 hit by pitches and a walk from him, and the command is a big issue. And Max, I think, again, the biggest thing that was on display was not a good thing for the Bombers, and it was the lack of pitching depth and the lack of ability to find themselves inside the zone. What does Coach Austin Alexander and this Bombers team have to adjust going forward?
The biggest thing for the Bombers going forward is they have the hitters to score runs and win ball games. It's just that pitching staff that you have. You have 2 of the most dominant pitchers in the league on your staff. It's just after those 2 pitchers, you don't really have anybody else, and we just saw that today. I mentioned earlier in the early inning is 11 free bases the Bombers pitchers were given to the Filthballers, and that's just you can't have that if you want to win ball games. It's the biggest reason why the Bombers did not win this game.
Yeah, combined 9 hits here today, but either way, the Filthballers able to figure ways to get wins. A 5-run 4th, a 2-run 5th, and a 2-run 6th to give the Filthballers their 9th win of the season in just 10 games. The Filthballers will be back this Friday, June 24th, for a doubleheader out at Council Bluffs Field 7. They'll play the Haymakers at 5 p.m. Then right after that, they'll play the Royal Blue Dogs at 8. The Bombers, after 3 straight days of games, will get a little bit of a break, at least for tomorrow. But they'll be back on Thursday up against the Black Sox out at Council Bluffs Field 7. We'll take a quick break here on the Corn Belt League Network. Once we come back, we'll talk to our Kelly Supply Company player of the game and wrap this one up for you. 9-3 the final here at J.J. Isaacson Field here for Tuesday night baseball, and I'm here with our Kelly Supply Company player of the game, Brendan Anderson. Man, you have been on a tear this past week. An incredible second week of action for you, getting the Corn Belt League Hitter of the Week, and you do a pretty good job here tonight. 2 for 3 with kind of an odd triple down the left field line. Did also have a single back in the 6th, 2 RBIs on that single. Did also have a stolen base, so speeding the base pass as well. This team has just been incredible this season, a league-leading 9-1. What's been the formula that's gotten this team to be so good?
This team is really different than like any of the other teams that I've played on. We've been super focused on just playing the game right. We've done everything in our power to just play fundamental baseball, and it's really showed for us. We're not trying to be any rah-rah kind of stuff. That's a big thing that Hobbs preaches. So we're just nose to the grindstone and just trying to play good baseball.
So I think you talked about that team aspect. We've seen the depth be such a big piece for this group. You guys have 7 guys with an OPS over 800 this season. So many guys that can step up in big moments, as well as 11 to 13 different guys on the mound that can get you guys innings. What is it like to have so many guys that you can be confident to make plays around you?
I've really never been on a team where you can make defensive substitutions or offensive substitutions and you don't even know. Like everybody on the bench who starts the game, and every single game we've been rolling out different lineups. We've been using the same core of guys, same 4 or 5 guys, but then everybody else in the lineup changes game to game, and we just don't lose anything. We just have so much depth and so much talent, however many players we have, 1 through 20 something, and it's been so much fun.
So even with that here today, 5 hits, which is definitely not a bad thing, but definitely not what you guys are used to, usually having 7 or 8 hits usually per game. But you got in a lot through 11 different free passes and a lot of different stolen bases, 9 different stolen bases here tonight. What's been that mindset to be able to take as many bags as you have in front of you?
The big thing for us is just find a way to win. Because every day you're not going to pitch it well. Every day you're not going to play defense well. Every day you're not going to hit well. So you have to find a way to win baseball games. And we've had a couple of baseball games where we're not just blowing everyone out of the water, but we keep finding ways to win. And being able to use our speed, and we get a bunch of talented guys and a bunch of athletic dudes. And that's kind of what our team is built around. So we've had the ability to where we had 5 hits and we scored, 9 runs? So we have the ability, so you get a guy who walks, and then you can get him in scoring position, and then put bat on ball, and good things happen. Our strikeout numbers have been low lately, and we've just been able to get good baseball in.
All right, so going forward, you guys play a doubleheader this upcoming Friday out at Council Bluffs Field 7. You're looking to defend your title here. Of course, a lot of different guys that were part of this team last year. You are off to an incredible start. What do you guys have to keep doing or maybe even change up going these next couple weeks?
So the biggest thing, and I said this the other day with News Channel Nebraska, we just have to play good baseball. We go through spurts where we will score 5 runs in the 4th inning, but then we'll have other innings where we have a 5-pitch offensive inning, and we just tap a ball into the ground, roll over, and then we're out of there. So what we got to focus on is what we do. We need to hit hard balls, try to backspin balls, hard line drives, and then on the mound we just got to fill it up. And our defense has been phenomenal all year. And again, we're so deep at every position, we can roll whoever we want in there, and we're good defensively.
All right, thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you.
Our Kelly Supply Company player of the game here tonight, Brendan Anderson. A win here tonight for the Filthballers, 9-3 the final. We'll be back next Sunday for some more Filthballers action as they take on the Rail Riders. Thank you so much, Jaden Taylor, alongside Max Coughlin, the entire Corn Belt League crew. That'll be all for us here on Tuesday night.